Hey, what is happening, everybody? It is Jeff with Gas Mask and Hand Grenades. I'm having some major stress issues here with going back to StreamYard. Not sure I did the right thing at this point. Couldn't play my intro, wouldn't load it up. And actually, it kind of wiped one of the videos out, which is really strange. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but listen, I wanted to get this thing off the ground because I've been trying to get it done for literally a couple of weeks now, and it just hasn't been happening. Very frustrating. So we're just going to get into this thing, but there's a lot that's developed in the last 3 to 4 weeks. I've had a lot of major stressors, so I'm going to get into that real quickly, and then we'll get into the church deep dive. So I plan to do this all in one fell swoop, and then I realized that this catalog is ridiculously deep, ridiculously deep. Um, there are 26 studio albums and like 9 EPs. Very little overlap in material. Hey, what's up, crazy white boy? Hey, what's happening, guys? How are you? Very little overlap in this material. Just an absolute monstrous catalog of stuff to listen to and to get into here. And as I started to dig deeper into it and deeper into it, I realized that trying to do this all in one fell swoop was not going to work. There's just no way. No way I could do 26 albums and like 9 EPs. It's just impossible. And to make matters even more bizarre is that when the church reissued, I believe it was Arista in Australia, reissued a bunch of their earlier work, they put out these double CDs, which we'll get into in a minute here. That now this one isn't really a big problem because it's just got 2 extra tracks on it and a short film. But some of these, like for Starfish, Seance, have a lot more material on. Now I tried to address some of that stuff. I think I did actually on all, but yeah, I didn't address it on Starfish. I was unable to get that one done. Uh, Hey, what's up, fake Satan Rojas? Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Same to you. Uh, we are 1-11. Yeah, it's. I don't even bother watching, dude. I don't even put it on anymore, AZ Mech. I just don't bother, man. It's just, it's a source of stress I don't need in my life right now. So we're going to go over the bonus CDs for all the first batch of albums here. But once we get to Starfish, and I don't actually have the bonus CD for Gold Afternoon Fix and Priest equals Aura. If anybody runs into these out there, please contact me. They're extremely hard to find, but I'm not going to pay the crazy prices on Discogs or eBay for them. But if you run into a deal on either the double discs of Starfish or Priest equals Aura, please let me know. Well, you'll just buy them and sell them because you'll resell them and make a lot of money. But the double discs of I'm sorry, I have the double disc in Starfish. What am I saying? I meant the Priest equals Aura and Gold Afternoon Fix. Those are the two I don't have. I do have it for somewhere anywhere or somehow. No, it's not called that. It's called sometime anywhere. I do have the double disc for that one, and I don't know if they continued on that trend past that. I don't think they did, other than Parallel Universe. So, long story short, there's a metric fuck ton of material to get over here and get into. It's really, really, really deep, and I need to get moving on it. However, one thing I wanted to double check here was okay, good. I thought I would tackle this in 2 episodes, and then I really got looking at it and I realized I don't even think I can do it in 2 episodes. So what I think I'm going to do, no, they're nothing like the Deftones, not even in the same universe as the Deftones. It's not metal. This is not a metal band at all. This is really a post-punk. I'm getting a lot of glare. Sorry about that. It's mostly come on, man. This is mostly a post-punk, psych, atmospheric, jangle pop. We're gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into it with each album. They really started to change after the first 3 albums, maybe 4 albums, and they developed into something quite a bit different than what they started off as. So, nah, they're not like Midnight Oil, dude. Not at all like Midnight Oil. I don't think, not even remotely. You're just saying that because they're Australian, but I don't think they sound anything like Midnight Oil. Um, we're going to get into it. But what I wanted to say to everybody, though, is that unfortunately, I am only going to go up through Priest Equals Aura tonight, which is that's essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 albums with the EPs, the accompanying EPs, and then the Remote Luxury, which is the Persia and what's it called? The Persia and Constant and Opal EPs. We're going to talk about those, but oh, they share the scene. Okay, yeah, but they don't sound anything like. Yeah, they don't at all. I guess you could say that because they're from Australia. I mean, more or less. Although 2 of the members aren't Australians, so they're from the UK. But let me get into a little history on this band, just so you're clear. We're going to be doing this in 3 episodes. It's just the way I have to do it. I've been dealing with a lot on the personal front with regards to having to get a new car. That took a lot more time than I thought it would. And I've got a lot going on with my health that is very not good, really not good, just super not good. So I'm going to have to tackle this in smaller bites. I just don't think I've got the stamina, the energy, or the ability to get through 6, 7 hours at one sitting to do the whole catalog. And I'm not even sure 6, 7 hours would work. I think it might need more than that. So, okay. Metal Mama, yes. Cool. Metal Mom. Metal Mama. All right, yes. Amazing group. The Church. Let's pull up my cheat sheet here, and we'll get started on this. The Church are an Australian rock band formed in Sydney in 1980, initially associated with new wave, new neo psychedelia, and indie rock. And those things kind of encompass what they started as, but they started to change a lot into more of what I would call dream pop, sort of post rock, but not really post rock, kind of post alternative, I guess you could almost call them. I would say if this band had been a little bit less into drugs, let's just say, particularly Steve, the main writer, the bass player and singer, they probably would have been a lot more, maybe more like talk in a lot of ways. Although they share some similarities with talk, but I don't really think they sound like talk much. Being an old fucker, which I am, I'll turn 60 in March if I make it. I got into this band probably the way most people that hear about them or know about them did in the 80s. I don't recall hearing about them until the album Starfish came out, which was 1988, and they had the massive worldwide mega global hit Under the Milky Way, which is, if you've not heard the song Under the Milky Way, I mean, you either don't go grocery shopping or go to shopping malls. You've never listened to alternative radio in your life. You're probably under the age of 35, maybe even 40, maybe. Let's see, 40. Yeah, you might be under the age of 40, but definitely under the age of 35. This is a band that was very big for a very short window of time, but has been a constant for nearly 50 years at this point. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. It's a long and storied history, and I didn't know this until tonight that there's actually a book written about them, which I really should have read before I did this tonight. This is the book right here. I ordered it. It's on the way. I'm going to have it by Thursday, which means I'll probably read it in 2 or 3 or 4 days. But it's called No Certainty Attached, Steve Kilby and the Church, a biography. Good price on that for a paperback. I'm cool with that, by Robert Dean Laurie. He's not like a pro journalist per se, but yeah, there you go, Metal Mom. I'm 59, almost 60. So yeah, for me, this was a happening band when I was in high school, and then outside of high school is when they got popular and when everybody kind of found out about them that wasn't in Australia or maybe the UK and maybe some mainland Europe. So I don't know about South America because I don't really know. I don't know if they've ever even played down there. I imagine they may have gotten there once or twice, but I doubt they did a lot of time down there, but I could be wrong. But anyways, all right, so let's get into this thing here. The music later came to feature slower tempos and surreal landscapes reminiscent of alternative rock, dream pop, and post-rock. From the release of She Never Said single in November of 1980, this unique Sydney-originated entity has purveyed a distinctive, ethereal, psychedelic tinge sound, which has alternatively found favor and disfavor in Australia and beyond. The LA Times has described the band's music as dense, shimmering, exquisite guitar pop. You're going to hear a lot of the same. I like to get into these songs and kind of explain what the albums sound like track by track often. And I got to thinking, is that really going to work? Well, it never would have worked if I did all the albums at once. However, now that I'm going to break it into segments, I think it'll work much better. You're going to hear a lot of very similar words to describe things. I try very, very hard to differentiate things, but it's really, really hard. They have a very definitive sound. They do experiment outside and color outside the lines, but they don't do it in a way that's super perceptible after a certain point in their catalog. And we're going to go through the first 7 albums. So actually we're going to do basically a third of the catalog, not quite, but basically a third. And I chose to stop at Priest Equals Aura, because there's a couple of the albums after that I want to go back to and kind of re-listen to, because there's so much going on, a lot of depth to all this stuff. So let's see. The founding members were Steve Kilby on lead vocals and bass guitar, Peter Kappas and Marty Wilson Piper on guitars, and Nick Ward on drums. Ward played only on their debut album, and the band's drummer for the rest of the 1980s was Richard Plug. J.D. Daughtry, ex-Patti Smith Group, played drums from 1990 to 93, followed by Tim Powles. He was in a band called the Venetians, who remains with them to present day. So as of right now, 2025, they're actually currently on a major Australian tour where they've sold out pretty much every one of their shows. I don't really know what size venues they're playing. It looks to be like 1,000 to 1,200 type venues. They look like they're seated venues because, hey man, their audience is fucking old mostly. They're old like me, and I kind of appreciate sit-down venues these days. Not always, but I do. And that's the portion of their audience that's is pretty aged at this point. Steve Kilby's 70 or 71, I believe. Tim Powles is 60, early 60s. Marty is 68. I think Peter Kappas is in that range too, like 67, 68 too. So these aren't young guys, you know what I mean? These are not young men. However, I should note right now that only Tim Powles and Steve Kilby are active current members of the band. The band was pretty much started by Steve Kilby. There have been various ins and outs of Marty Wilson Piper and Peter Kappas. It seems like they're permanently out now. There's a lot of animosity over songwriting credits, and we'll get into all that stuff. Particularly after I read the book, I'll have a better understanding of all that stuff. So I am going to reach out to Steve Kilby and Marty Wilson Piper. I'm hoping to get both those guys on at some point and get at time. Not together, though. I don't think they're going to be together. I don't think that would happen. So back to the Kappas left the band from 92 to 97 and again in 2020, with Wilson Piper departing in 2013. Ian Haug, formerly of Powderfinger, replaced Wilson Piper, with former touring multi-instrumentalist Jeffrey Kane and a guitarist Ashley Naylor joining after Coppice' later departure. Kilby, Coppice, and Pals also recorded together as the Reformation in '97. We will talk about that album later, not today. The Church's debut album of Skins and Hearts from '81 delivered their first radio hit, The Unguarded Moment, and they were signed to major labels in Australia, Europe, and the United States. However, the U.S. label was very dissatisfied with their second album, The Blurred Crusade, and dropped the band without releasing it. This put a dent in their success in the U.S., but they returned to the charts in '88 with the album Starfish and the U.S. Top 40 hit Under the Milky Way. Subsequent mainstream success has proved elusive, but the band has sustained a large international cult following and earned consistent and critical recognition for its later work, including being inducted into the ARIA, Australian Hall of Fame, in Sydney in 2010. So we'll get into these albums here. Yeah, they are kind of known for being one-hit wonder, although they've had more than one hit, but they've, they're not AC/DC. They're not. They're more on par with somebody like Gypsy, or what's it called, Rose Tattoo or something like that, where they're a cult following, but they're not huge. So, having not read this book yet, I kind of thought about maybe just not doing this tonight, but I kind of really wanted to get started on this. Otherwise, I'd just keep delaying, and I didn't want to do that. So we're going to get started. If I got to backtrack in episode 2, part 2, I'll come back to some of these albums if I need to after I've read the book. But the first album is called Of Skins and Hearts. It came out in April of 1991 and January of 1982 internationally. April of '81 in just Australia. It was recorded during September and November of 1980. There are a couple different versions of it that are out. It came out in Australia on EMI Parlophone. In Europe, it came out on Carrere. I think you say Carrere. Capitol in the U.S. and Arista and Capitol in Canada as far as the reissues. So this was produced by Chris Gilby and Bob Clearmountain. So we're not talking like nobodies in the production game. Bob Clearmountain's been doing this, was doing this for many years and has, mixed shit. Hall & Oates, Paul McCartney, The Pretenders, Simple Minds. I think, if I'm not wrong, this album came out shortly after he had just done... oh man, I think he had just done. Let me look here a minute here. Let's see. Oh no, actually, it was before he did The Simple Minds. I thought he did. He did Flesh and Blood by Roxy Music, Ian Hunter, Jim Carroll Band, The Silencers. He did two albums. I think they're singles. Are they singles? I think he did 2 singles by Bruce Springsteen. Prior to doing this, he's done the Rolling Stone. He did the Rolling Stones Tattoo You, so not a nobody. This guy was, pretty serious heavy hitter. And also Chris Gilby. I do not know who that guy is. I don't know if I've ever heard of him before. Not a lot of history on him. So he might have been a label head or something like that. But all right. So to get into this album real quickly here, we'll give a few details on it. It was released by EMI Parlophone. Like I said, it peaked at number 22 in the Australian Kent Music Reports. It's their only album to feature Nick Ward on it, and has a harder, more new wave influence. I was going to say, when I get to my final assessment, you'll get that. 7 songs were entirely written by lead singer and bass guitarist Steve Kilbey, and 2 were co-written with others. First single, She Never Said, did not chart in the Australian Music Report singles chart. Second single, The Unguarded Moment, was co-written with Michaela Parker, who was married to Steve Kilbey at the time. The song launched the band to success and has been their biggest hit to date. That I didn't realize. I did not realize that The Unguarded Moment was bigger than Milky Way or bigger than Metropolis or, You're So Beautiful, Baby. I mean, that's kind of surprising to me. Anyway, It brought early attention to significant radio play to the band. It peaked at number 22 and number 19 in New Zealand, 22 in Australia. The track Is This Where You Live became a live staple over the following years. By the time of the album's release, Ward had been replaced on drums by Richard Ploog. The album was resequenced and re-released internationally as The Church in 1982. I have that version, and we'll get into that in a minute here. Yeah, so this is a very different sounding album predominantly than what's going to follow. This you can definitely hear. It's 1981. You can definitely hear the post-punk. You can hear even minor little punk influences in here. I'm not talking about like, you know, things like the Sex Pistols or, you know, UK Subs or Agent Orange or any of those kind of, not that kind of punk or any of the US punk. It's not that way. It's much more in line with post-punk new wave. Without the keyboards, there's very little keyboards on here, if at all. I'm not even sure. Re-listening to it, I'm sure there's probably some nuanced keyboards on here that aren't really. And by the way, this is an original. By the way, in fact, I think all my CDs are originals, with the exception of the double disc copies, which are the reissues. So let's see. Are there any? Yeah, there are some keyboards by Steve Kilbey on here. That's right. I forgot. He does a lot of that stuff. There's your insides of your tray sleeve, back sleeve with the song credits on it. Yeah, opens with the song For a Moment. And it has a very affected Kilby voice. And it's like he's going for the Bowie sound. David Bowie, I believe, if I'm not incorrect about this, David Bowie is Steve Kilby's favorite artist. Also happens to be one of my favorite artists as well. So that makes sense. Excuse me. That I dig his music almost as much as I dig Bowie's, or vice versa. But you can definitely hear Kilby is trying to sound a lot more English than he actually is. I believe he was born in England. I'm pretty sure about that. I should probably double check it, but I'm almost positive he was born in England. So was Marcy. Yeah, he's English born. He was born in Hertfordshire. Also, Marty Wilson Piper is also from England as well, or was from England when he was in the band. So, but yeah, you definitely hear a more affected voice. This is a very jangle pop. It's very propulsive, very guitar centric, but not like heavy. You've got a lot of use of 12-string guitar. When Marty Wilson Piper joined the band, because they were a three-piece initially with Kappas, Ward, and Kilby being the trio originally. I believe they went to the UK to perform, and if I remember correctly, Marty Wilson Piper was at the show, got to talking to Steve, and Steve pretty much offered him a gig. I don't know if he knew of Marty beforehand or whatever. I'll have to read that book to find out. But Marty Wilson Piper was brought in. Their manager then bought Marty Wilson Piper a 12-string Rickenbacker, which really, in the early days of the Church, gives that band this sound. It gives it this sound. I don't believe a lot of bands in the 80s were using 12 strings. A lot were using Rickenbackers, but they weren't probably using the 12 string. And that's what was kind of unique about this band. Now, there's one band that I hear a lot of in the early days of the Church, and that would be the Byrds, which is the Cali, SoCal, dream folk, band that did 8 Miles High and, the Roger McGuinn and Turn. You can definitely hear that. You can definitely hear that in early Church music. Let's see, moving on here. To Chrome Injury. I believe that was the first single. Can't believe it. I can't remember whether it was that one or the... Let me look here a minute. That doesn't say. Unguarded Moment was second, yeah. So I believe Chrome Injury was the first song that was released. Or maybe it was For a Moment. Shit, I don't have that in my notes. I thought I did. Chrome Injury, very catchy chorus. Steve has, again, that Bowie inflection to and enunciations to his voice. very early Bowie, like Ziggy era, which was very much hunky dory era. That kind of sound that Bowie was doing at that point in time. You can definitely hear that here in his vocal affectations. Um, Also, the verses. I'm sorry. This, especially the way he sings the verses on Chrome Injury. There's some really cool slide guitar on that song. I really dig this track here. In an Unguarded Moment is probably the one that maybe you might be familiar with. It's in an unguarded moment. That's the chorus is it's very catchy, super earwormish. You can't forget it once you've heard it. Big hooky chorus. They only made me feel like dying in an unguarded moment. Lots of Birds influence on this one. It's a killer track. It's just an awesome track. And again, I really didn't realize it was maybe their best selling single. I didn't realize their most popular one. Next up, we got Memories in Future Tense, which is kind of chuggy, not metal chuggy at all. Okay, there's not really any metal in this band at all. I wouldn't say there's anything super metallic. Yes, they use heavier distortion, tones for albums as we go along, but they're not a metal band. They're not even like a heavy hard rock band. Much more nuanced, much more ethereal, much more atmospheric, much better. Hey, what's up, dude? Ah, was that your introduction? Okay, cool, man. Cool. Good to see you, Rick. Sorry we missed you last night, dude. I hope you like that thumbnail we used and background. It was kind of funny. I had to do it, man. I'm looking for something and I'm like, oh, that's it. That's the one right there. Anyway, sorry everybody. That was Rick. Memories in Future Tense. Kind of chuggy in a weird way. Really super cool melodic stabbing riffs over the locomotive chug. It's got that locomotive lurchiness to it. The chugging, and that's mostly in the drums and the bass and the rhythm section and rhythm guitars. Really killer track. Lots of juicy guitar work on this song, Memories in Future Tense. Side tangent, real quick. I was thinking about playing some tracks from this, but I got nailed for a copyright strike, and I'm not sure that I won't get nailed for one if I play some of these songs. What I thought about doing was playing one of the less known songs from the albums to maybe get away with it that way, but I just don't know if that'll work. I don't know. I'm gonna try it, and obviously, if I get nailed again, then I can't ever play music again because if I get a third strike, they'll take my channel off. So I guess I'll give that a shot tonight, and that might be the song I play actually. I'm not gonna play the like hits because those are the ones that are gonna get me nailed. So Bel Air is next. That's an airy ballad with some really cool 12-string chordal guitar, some bluesy sort of Cali guitar fills. Again, very Birds like, really chilled and a beautifully pretty tune. Steve's great at writing these space jams and these progressive songs, but he's great at writing ballads, and that's one of his best ones. So, Is This Where You Live? Again, a big song for them live. Great tune. Kind of in the intro for the first 3 minutes, it's kind of drony and chimey, but as it kind of builds, it gets kind of repetitive. But the chorus is, is this where you live? Is this where you live? And just the way that he does it, the way the vocal affectations to it, really work well. And the more you check that song out, the more you're like, oh, I totally get why this would be a great live track for them, because it's got that energy and that, it sticks in your head sort of thing. So, She Said Never, really cool punky track. Reminds me oddly a little bit, even his vocals remind me a little bit of Christian Death and Roz Williams. It's weird. He doesn't sound super gothy like this. It's not like that. But the way Roz would sing certain vocal lines, it kind of has that vibe to it. And again, he's kind of still doing the Bowie thing all throughout this album, so that's probably not at all surprising. Let's see, really cool. Has some really cool this slashing guitar riffs that sound very 80s, but kind of timeless. Super catchy chorus, gothy and dark. darker in hue than the rest of the album. That song is probably the darkest song on the album. Fighter Pilot Korean War. What a weird name for a song. Has a very early YouTube vibe, and again, quite insistent and post-punk sort of vibes to it. Steve kind of moans some of the vocals, which is kind of weird. And the tempo seems to speed up and down a bit in the song, like kind of oscillates a little bit, which is kind of a little bit off-putting at first. But it's a great song. It's actually one of my favorites, so I could maybe go with that one instead. The American version of the album that was put out in '82 put a song called "Tear It All Away" on there instead of Fighter Pilot Korean War. Let's see. And "Tear It All Away" is what I would call very church-like sounding. It's a great song, but I think, let's see, where am I at here? Hold on, what the hell? Oh, on the American version, they end it with the song "Tear It All Away." I don't think I would have done that for this album. It's not the greatest closer for that version of the album. I'd probably put it in the middle and ended the original album with, on Chrome Injury, or maybe "Don't Open," which is the last song, "Don't Open the Door to Strangers," which is kind of a weird, waltzy, low-key acoustic thing. And frankly, the only song on the album I just don't really like. I really don't like the song very much at all. And I can't say that about a lot of church songs, but this one I can. Just not my thing. So when the bonus reissue came out, there were 2 additional songs on there. As we said, yeah, see, here's the US version. And it also has a song called Sisters. And damned if I missed that. I missed listening to Sisters, so I don't remember what that sounds like. So it doesn't actually end on "Tear It All Away." It ends on "Sisters." So already my deep dive's kind of bullshit. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Maybe I should have looked at it first. So I can't tell you what "Sisters" sounds like because I didn't listen to it. But in the regular version, the bonus reissues are "In a Heartbeat" and "Bus Driver." "In a Heartbeat" sort of a mashup of the Beatles and Byrds, late '60s vibe, pretty cool, funky, weird track. It's pretty good. "Bus Driver" is a post-punk rocker with energy, some pretty cool, insistent slashing chords. Kilby has a funky delivery on that, and it's a good album. So for me, this album, like I said, is kind of anathema to all the stuff that comes after it, and I like this album a lot, and especially the second time around listening to it. So what I do is I listen to these albums once, and this has been a while since I've gone back to these guys. Even though I own most everything by them, it's probably been a couple years since I've actually listened to a church album. Although that's not true. I did listen to Priest Equals R many months ago because I got John Holman that album. But of all the early albums, it's probably the one I would maybe reach for the least. But it's still a really good album. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. And again, as I said, it's quite different because the church hadn't become the church yet. You got more post-punk, new wave meets the Byrds, jangle pop, and Kilby's voice is affected. And again, trying to sort of sound a little bit like a Bowie, Iggy Pop sort of mashup, which I think it doesn't work to his advantage, in my opinion. But yeah, so there you go. Of Skins and Hearts. This one I didn't have for forever, till a couple weeks ago, and I paid way too much for this. But it is the original Arista release from '81, '82 rather, I should say. That has the 2 bonus tracks, different track listing. So I had to grab it for that. All right. Next up, The Blurred Crusade. Here we've got, while still dominated predominantly by Steve Kilby's songwriting, The Blurred Crusade shows a stronger influence from 60s psychedelia and the beginnings of guitarist Peter Kappa's and Marty Wilson Piper's trademark interplay. Lush keyboards, which often imitate strings or vocals, provide an ethereal background, aided by Bob Clearmountain's rich atmospheric production. The album's opening track and first single, Almost With You, is considered one of the band's most characteristic songs, and the 2 whole band compositions and interlude and You Took have been frequently included in the set list throughout their career. Both the band and a large section of the fan base cite the album as one of its finest. Following its release, the band undertook their second Australian tour, while Carrera Records released the album in Europe, generating enough sales for them to tour there as well in October of '82. However, the U.S. label Capitol Records declined to release the Blurred Crusade and demanded that they write more radio-friendly material, as exemplified by their stablemates Little River Band. This horrified the group. After another recording session, 5 new songs were offered to Capitol, but the label was still unimpressed and dropped the band. The 5 songs were later released on the in Australia as the EP Sing Songs, which reached the top 100 album chart. So, Almost With You, the lead-off song. I'm almost with you. Again, very earwormy. This is the reissue, digitally remastered bonus tracks. It's got Life Speeds Up, The Golden Dawn, and the Blurred Crusade short film. Again, this is one of the Arista Australia issues, these double CDs. So, the weird thing about this album is, for some reason, for me, I just never seem to get into this album. Although I would say it's probably where the inception of what we've come to know the church to sound like started here. There's no doubt it started here. It's not in full force yet. It's not even close to being at cruising altitude yet. But this definitely was the first album that you go, oh, okay, the church have their own sound. They sound like the church. I listened to this a couple days ago, reacquaint myself, and was like, it's okay. It's pretty good. I re-listened to it today, and I'm like, whoa, dude, what were you thinking? This is way better than okay. So it's come way up in my eyes. And that is one of those deals where, that's why I don't do a lot of reviews of albums, because I'll want to be the first guy to drop mine. And it's not a good thing to come right out with an opinion right away. Not for me, anyway. I truly need to kind of often sit with an album for quite a while before I can draw what I would term educated opinions on them. And again, it's just my opinion, so it's not in the word, the grand scheme of things. Does it mean anything in the world? No, not really. It's just some fucking old fat guys, well, kind of fat, but old dudes, perception of what he hears in the music. But having been a fan of this band for a very long time, that surprised me that when I went back to this the second time, I was like, oh, you know what? I think you might have missed something here. You need to focus a little closer on this album. And I did, and it was very rewarding. So, Almost With You, When You Were Mine, was the second single, I believe. And man, this is a great song. When You Were Mine. Such a killer fucking song, man. I love it. Classic 80s sounding guitars, driving up-tempo rocker with some cool melodic arpeggios. I love the guitar work on this song, man. I love the guitar work on it. I love being a child of the 80s, the edge. I'm getting away from metal here. I'm talking other guitar players from the 80s that were, Robert Smith and The Cure, that era of music. Daniel Ash from Love and Rockets, Bauhaus, same guy. Just very unique sounds to their. I forget the guitar player's name for Joy Division, but another Ian McKay. No, not Ian McKay. Fuck, I can't remember his name, but very distinctive sound. Lots of lushness, lots of reverb, lots of chorus, lots of modulation. I love that sound. I love it in the 80s metal too, but I really love it in the 80s alternative rock. So, but yeah, you get into the chorus is just so fucking great, man. He's started to get away from the Bowie thing, but it's still there a little bit. The Bowie thing is still kind of hanging around. The bridge is kind of weird on this song, though. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's such a killer track, man. Then we get to Fields of Mars, which is a slower atmospheric track, sort of Jangle Prague, if you will. Jangle Prague. I don't know if that's a real that's a real genre of music. But if not, I just made it up. Jangle Prog. Not Jungle Prog, Jangle Prog. Let's see, where are we at here? Very early Bowie like, kind of Space Oddity. I hear a little bit of Space Oddity in this song. Fields of Mars, Space Oddity. I don't know, maybe, who knows? Maybe some influence there. There's some obvious synths in this that you don't hear in the first album and even the first two tracks on this album. And they really add a lot of depth to the music. They really make it sound a lot cooler. And really dig this song, Field of Mars. An interlude. Kind of dreamy, popish, and atmospheric. A grower track, but really clicks after a few listens. Let's see. Why do I have two tracks named the same thing? Secret Corners, sorry. Really down-tempo, mellow ballad. It's really beautiful song. Back to an interlude, you get these big washy guitar chordal sequence on that one. That's really killer. Let's see. Although I would say it's probably my least favorite song on the album. That's for the interlude. Secret Corners, a really pretty ballad title track. Pretty ballad. It's a really pretty little track, not title track. I'm reading it wrong. Just for You, another more proggy and ethereal track. Lots of acoustics and organ fading in and out. Arpeggiated, jangly guitar work. That sleepy, almost drugged vocal delivery by Kilby. Kind of the first sign of it, I think, in this song. You'll hear a lot more of that coming up, but that's kind of the one that I heard there. The weird thing about this song is, as I'm listening to it, I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds a lot like the chord progression to "I Used to Love Her" by Guns N' Roses. You know, I used to love her, but I had to kill her. That song, this has that vibe to it. It's very similar in the melodic structure and definitely in the chord structure. So I think they beat Axl and the guys to it. Maybe Axl heard this song, or whoever wrote it heard Secret Corners and ripped them off. I don't know. Or Just for You. I'm sorry, Just for You. A Fire Burns, kind of post-punky rocker that's solid if a bit repetitive. The drumming sort of drags it down a little bit. I think Richard Ploug was not like a real... He was a four-on-the-floor guy. He wasn't a nuanced player. And that would be my only complaint about the drumming, is the drumming. To Be in Your Eyes, a down-tempo, wistful ballad song for a rainy day. Quite a good one. Almost reminds me of 1979 by the Smashing Pumpkins. You know, that down, 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 bow, 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 bow. It has that same kind of bounce, that similar sound to it. You Took. I'm sorry. Yeah, You Took. Long track, 8 minutes, which starts to become very much a thing of the norm for the Church in a few albums. But very much what they do going forward. This one is an up-tempo jammy rocker with some warm bass and chimey guitars, lovely melodies, some great haunting solos, and the vocals, when they come in around 240, the music drops out and tempo slows to a crawl for a minute as it builds in mystery, builds into an up-tempo rocker. Lots of jangle throughout, and I love the synths on this one. It's a really great track. You Took. It's long, so I'm not going to play it at 8 minutes, but it's kind of one of my favorite ones. The bonus tracks, Life Speeds Up, insistent, more rocky and driving, up-tempo. Lots of cool guitar, chordal work. The drumming could have been a little bit more interesting, but it's really a pretty killer track. You got a lot of chimey guitars and great melodic solos. The Golden Dawn, cool instrumental, chimey, and lots of thumping, almost fretless sounding bass, very 80s sounding. But it shows they are growing, and they weren't just going to be a one-note post-punk band. So my original analysis album was not as good for me as the first album. They were transitioning to a more jammy, spacey psych band here. and there are some great tracks, but a lot of it is brooding and somewhat forgettable, which is odd, as most church fans love this album to death. And I feel it's where they began to sound like their own thing, which may be true, but it's not as interesting as the first one for me, and not nearly as good. So that I was kind of saying this wasn't as good as that, but on my revisit to it, the deeper sound session, I was pretty off on this. I was way off on it actually. This is more like, because I think I gave it a 6.75 at first. I changed that to an 8.5 to an 8.75. There's a much more going on here, and it's much better than I thought it was. As for the bonus tracks, did I review those? I thought I did. Yeah, we did that. We talked about it. So there you go. That's the Blurred Crusade from 1982. And I apologize for moving around a lot in here, guys. It's exceptionally warm in my room. Like 85 degrees. Holy fuck. It's very cold where we're living, where I live in Pennsylvania. And I live in the back part of the house, a room that was added on later. And it doesn't have the insulating factors that the rest of the house has. So my room gets cold quick and it gets really hot really fast. So I kind of have to, because of my dysautonomia, I have to have my heat up more than usual. And you say, well, yeah, but you got that fan blowing. Yeah, if I didn't have the fan blowing right now, I couldn't even sit and do this. So, all right, Sing Songs, which I do not own. If anybody owns Sing Songs and wants to give it to me, you want to sell it to me? I'll give you a decent price for it, but nothing crazy. This is the second EP. Wait a minute, the second EP? What do you mean the second EP? What the fuck? Why does it say the second EP? That doesn't make any sense. Huh. I don't know why I have that there. I thought it was the first EP. Let me see. I don't want to give any errant information. That's weird. Sometimes I take these notes and I'm tired and I suddenly, I miss something, and then I'm putting the wrong info out there, and I don't want to do that. So let's see. Yeah, the first one is too fast for you, which was a 7-inch single. Okay, that makes sense then. So it's a 7-inch single. All right. Sing Songs was the 5 tracks that they put together for Capitol. It was released in December of 1982. Unlike its polished predecessor, the material was quickly written and recorded as a demo for the band's U.S. label Capitol, who rejected the Blurred Crusade as too uncommercial. Capitol remained unimpressed and dropped the band, but the recordings were released in Australia. And there's 5 songs on it: A Different Man, Ancient History, The Night Is Very Soft, In This Room, and I Am a Rock. So we'll go over that quick, but I do not own it. Let's see if I can pull it up on the screen here. Okay, I gotta. Oh, there it is. Where is it? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where did you go, man? Where are you? Why is it not coming up? Oh, there it is. Sorry. There's the artwork. Pretty kind of uneventful there. Yeah, nothing super exciting, right? And go back to this view. I'm gonna turn my camera off for 1 second. I need to turn this heat down, or I'm not gonna make it through this. I'm getting so heavy lidded because it's just nightmarishly hot in here. I should have done that earlier. Sorry. Hang on 1 minute. Be right back. Be right back. 1 second. It's too fucking hot in here. Holy balls. Woo. Hold on, guys. It is fucking retardedly hot in here. All right, that should cool down pretty quickly now. Sucks having dysautonomia. You're either too cold or too hot all the time. And right now I'm boiling. Literally fucking boiling. Woo! If you guys think I'm kidding, check it out. All right, well, it's 83 degrees in here. All right. Back to it. All right, let's see. And thanks to the 5 of you that cared enough to pop in here and hang out tonight, because most people don't give a shit about this band, which is kind of sad. And really, to be honest with you, most people don't really give a shit about this channel anymore. I'm starting to find it's really dying, which probably means I'm not going to be doing it a whole lot longer. But anyway, back to this. So the sing-songs, as I said, I don't have it. So I can just give a quick synopsis on the songs on it. A Different Man, more of a poppy Hearts and Skins vibe, though cool. Since the synth line works really well as an earworm, lots of jangle. And the tubular bells are super cool. They use the tubular bells, not the Mike Oldfield tubular bells, not the album, but the ding, 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 that kind of thing. Super catchy, cool, and almost goth-like, but still very catchy. Ancient History is very birdsy, very bass heavy, and jingly jangly. Lots of XTC. I didn't bring that band up before, and I should have. XTC being one of my favorite bands along with the Church. In the same vein, but not really. The Church sound a lot more less British and more international sounding, whereas XTC very much sounds extremely British sounding. So very different vibe there. But there is some similarities, in particular because the XTC does use the 12-string Gretsch, or the 12-string a lot, or used to in early work. So, all right. The night is very soft, really cool vibes. Nighttime song, very brooding and cool. Probably my favorite song on the EP by far. In This Room kind of has a weird down-tempo Cure vibe. Good song, somewhat catchy as well. These are all good songs. I mean, I'm not sure what Capitol was doing or why they were doing what they were doing. I guess I'll find out when I read that book. Maybe I'll know more about it then. But it doesn't make any sense that this album, ultimately, The Blurred Crusade, wasn't released at all by Capitol. I don't know what they were looking for at the time, 1982. I'd have to think back and remember what was going on there in pop music at the time with 82. Tears for Fears, maybe, which these guys don't sound like Tears for Fears. They do have a Simple Minds vibe at times. There is simple mindishness there. But I don't know. I'm not really sure what the story was and why Capitol would not release the second album after the first album. Maybe they were looking for them to stay more post-punk and not become what they became, which was a more progressive dream pop, alt, darker sort of sounding band. So last song on the EP is I Am a Rock. Yes, it's the Paul Simon song. It's a catchy cover. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of that song, even though I like a lot of Simon and Garfunkel. That one's kind of eh. But it was a filler EP to hand to the U.S. label and get them to release Blurred Crusade. Instead, they get dropped, but it's solid EPs. The cover and Night is Soft I'm sorry. The EPs of the cover is nothing special. So I give it a 7 out of 10. So, all right, next album here is going to be Seance. I just got to double check one thing here. Okay, yeah, Seance is next. And this is really like kind of in a way the sore thumb of I put up Remote Luxury. Good job, Jeff. All right, Seance. Just looking at that cover, like what's that tell you? Now, You can see when this went up, 7/17/02. I bought this. I did not buy it for 19.99 though. I don't think. I swear I got these for like 40% off because I got them at a place called Coconuts. Coconuts was a mall, a strip mall type music media store, and I walked in and found these, and the sticker's still on. I didn't even try to take it off. Um, and I think if you look on there, no, it doesn't say. But it was clearly on the rack on July 17th, 2002. I don't think I bought this. Honestly, though, the more I'm thinking about it, I bought this when I was with my ex-fiance, Catherine. So that would have had to been like 2012. So that's an original price tag on that. Whoever bought that, that's the original tag. Not that that means a whole lot of anything, but just saying that that's definitely an original tag. This is the one album that really does stand out from their catalog as very uniquely different, other than the first one. Mainly because while we start to get into some of the more classic church sound, the more tropes of the church, this album utilizes a drum machine quite a bit. And also, it's got a very cold, super gothic feel, most of it. Very different than, I mean, they have gothy moments throughout their career, but not as full on as this one. This is like pretty full on goth meets jangle pop, I guess you could say. Dark jangle pop. It's a really cool album, man. I really dig this album. Hadn't listened to it in 10, 12 years. It was a time when I got this, I listened to it a lot. We'll talk about this one. Third album by the Australian psychedelic rock band, The Church, released in 1983, June 13th, actually, 1983, recorded spring of 83 at Studios 301 in Sydney. EMI Parlophone came out on in Australia, Carrera in Europe, and Arista for the reissues. So it wasn't even released originally in the United States till later. It was produced by John B.E.E. and The Church. More atmospheric and brooding than its predecessor, The Blood Crusade, jangling psychedelia and upbeat rock, shows a greater use of keyboards, with the guitars taking largely textural roles on many of the songs. While numerous tracks have become fan favorites over the years, the album saw considerably less success in Australia than previous releases and had limited exposure internationally. Apart from the psychedelic noise experiment Travel by Thought, which prefigures the actual band's extended improvised tracks of the late 80s or late 90s, all the songs were written solely by Steve Kilbey. The album's notorious aspect, both amongst the fan base and the band members themselves, is the heavy use of gated reverb on the drum. So I guess it wasn't a drum machine, but it sure sounds like it at times. Is it like clicky like a drum machine? No, but man, it's got that gated reverb that a lot of bands had back in the early 80s, man. And you just hear that. It's sort of just an echoey, big, huge sound that just takes over everything. I don't mind it because I kind of like that 80s sound because I was brought up in that era, but I can get why a lot of people wouldn't like it. Let's see. Electric Lash, particularly on the single Electric Lash, where the snare fills have been likened to a machine gun. This was the work of mixing engineer Nick Loney, who refused to remove the effect despite the disapproval of the band. Despite his frequent criticism, the tracks One Day, It's No Reason, and Now I Wonder Why are often considered standouts on the album. In the band's live repertoire, excuse me. The album yielded two minor hits in It's No Reason and Electric Lash, and stayed in the British independent charts for several months. Fly, really cool acoustic intro, short track, very gothy and ethereal. I love it. Love that track. One Day, the pop track, lots of repeating arpeggios and chiming guitars and super catchy verse and chorus. Love this song. It's one of my favorite older church songs, man. And I don't know if I want to play that one because I'll probably get nailed for that one. But it really relies on a repeated arpeggio with cool chordal movements underneath that are really great. So let's see. What else do we have here? Electric. Synths play a much bigger role in this song, actually on the rest of the album. Real gothy, ethereal chiminess, and yet still pretty poppy and more psychedelic. Or psychedelia pop involved in the mix. The sound of the drums, which sounds very robotic, kind of a drag. That's the big drag on this album, is the robotic sounding drums. It's No Reason builds from a sparse arrangement to a much more full one. An absolutely gorgeous chorus, has an almost sad, happy sad Cure vibe. Really killer tune though, although the verses are kind of pretty understated at first and they're odd. You got to kind of warm to it. I might do that one, give that one a chance. Travel by Thought, super goth, trippy psychedelic, very reminiscent of Pornography era Cure. Only admittedly not as scary, obviously. Very tripped out, drony and experimental, hypnotic, super cool track, and more like a lot of what the Cure will start to come to sound like. That song might be the very first pointer towards where the Church are going to go with their sound in a few albums. Disappear is a really gentle and meditative ballad, but has the hallmark of Kilby's darker, dreamy pop vibes present. Lots of chiming guitars and basic tracks, but really cool autumnal melodies in the guitars and vocals. Just feels very fall-like when I listen to that song for some reason. Electric Lash, kind of the radio up-tempo alternative rocker, kind of Waterboys meets World Party meets the Byrds vibes. Shimmering, a favorite Church track, except the clunky snare, which again, that's one of those things. Just that production choice was pretty ominous to the whole album. I don't think it takes away from it. I quite enjoy this album, but I could see where some people would be like, "Oh, that drum sound drives me crazy." Dropping Names, more up tempo and rocking, harder, lots of chimey guitars, and that Kilby vocal delivery, another great track. It doesn't change, kind of drony and hypnotic and chimey and swirling. Again, kind of like future stuff that's coming. Probably drones on a couple minutes too long, to be honest with you. I think it's like 6 minutes long, and you could do that. You could say what they said there in 3.5, 4 minutes. Let's see. Bonus track. Someone Special. Cool. Chimey. You're going to hear that a lot. Chimey track. Has that patented Church sound. It's an okay track. It's not like a mind blower. I can see why they left it off. And then final analysis on this album. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I got two. I thought there was another bonus track on there. Oh, Autumn Soon. Okay, Autumn. Yeah, here we go. Someone Special. Cool. Yeah, that's what I just talked about. Autumn Soon. Lots of sitar and some really cool leads on it, but it's just an okay song for me. It doesn't usurp what's on the main album. All right, now we're in better shape here. Final Analysis, really good album, super underrated for me. Yeah, it's their homage to the early works of the Cure when the Cure before the Cure went dark and heavy, gothic, around faith and pornography. This is a slightly lighter affair than that by far, but still does have the darkness is kind of starting to envelope Steve Kilby here. We're getting there with that. It's more gothy in hue and spirit, so it's very appealing to me because of that. Some of Kilby's best tracks and more diverse writing styles surface on this album. Definitely one you want to own and not a terribly bad place to start, to be honest. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I really think it's that good. The production is 80s, but every other album from the 80s is going to sound like production from the 80s too. So you almost can't escape that. So, okay. It is cooling down in here, but boy, man, I'm struggling to stay awake, and I don't know why because I slept 8 hours last night. Weird, which I rarely ever do. But okay, so this one's interesting because this is remote luxury. It did not come in this purple case, and when I got it and bought it off of eBay, man, 12 or 13. No, fuck, man, I probably have had this since 2015, maybe. Yeah, 2014, really, probably 11 years ago or so. I bought this on eBay, and it didn't come in a case. It just came with the CD and the front insert, no back insert, nothing. Not much I can do about that. That's how it went down. So remote luxury. I like that artwork. It's pretty cool. Don't know what it's of, and you'll notice I don't have a back tray card. Okay, remote luxury is the first compilation album by the Australian psychedelic band The Church, released in 1984. The band had recently signed to Warner Brothers in the United States, and their new label decided to re-release the band's most recent Australian material, the Persia and Remote Luxury EP. So this is the third and fourth EP, if you don't count the first being the 7-inch and the second being what did I say it's called? Fuck. Not seesaws. Yeah, seesaw. Yeah, what the fuck, dude? Sing songs, not sea songs. Sing songs. Remote Luxury has a new running order. They also released Constant and Opal, which is, along with Persia, that makes up Remote Luxury. As a single, they released Constant and Opal in the U.S. The version of No Explanation included here as a 20-second instrumental jam at the beginning. The album was re-released on CD by Arista in 1990, but has since been deleted, and it was re-released in 88 on LP by Carrere under the label RGE in Brazil. 2001, EMI released the compilation album Sing Songs, Remote Luxury, and Persia, which consisted of remastered versions of all the tracks from those 3 EPs. So this has the third and fourth EP on one as a comp. Sing Songs itself is a standalone EP, but when they did this thing called, what they do here? They just call it Sing Songs / Remote Luxury / and Persia. So yeah, these are different excuse me, man. These are different remastered versions of all the tracks from the EPs in their original running order. Okay, Constant and Opal, Droning Killbeat, Droning Bow. What? Droning sound comes with a cool, very 80s vibe of the time, melodies and guitars, that burping synth bass and ratcheting rhythm. I dig it quite a lot. Really dig Constant and Opal. Violent Town, killer track, insistent beat that is a bit annoying, but otherwise it's a great track. The verse and the chords are killer, but man, that snare is annoying. What the fuck? Love Kilby's vocals on this one, very mid 1980s. Love it, but that snare, arg. In a way, kind of kills the love for this song. The snare on this EP is not, on these EPs is not great. No Explanation, weird intro like a false start, then into a lovely little ballady, soft rocker, radio rocker, very Ugh, sorry guys, I'm like struggling to stay awake here. I think I have to be honest with you, I've been having a lot of trouble with that the last month. Even like driving home from shows, not so much during shows, not so much when in conversation with other people, but I'm definitely having like narcoleptic moments, and I don't have that problem now. I do take melatonin often because of my neurological problems. Might have overdone the melatonin last night, but I don't I didn't feel that way when I woke up, so I'm kind of a little concerned by how this is playing out. But we don't have too much more to go. I think I can get all this done. Let's see, for 110. I'm going to endeavor to try to get this wrapped up in 2 hours. And each segment I'll try to do about 2 hours. And when I get the book, I might have a lot more details. And it seems to me I might, and I'd like to go back and review the bonus albums for Priest Equals Zara, Metropolis, or not Metropolis, Gold Afternoon Fix, and Starfish, which I did not do. So maybe that'll be a final tie-up episode. But I'm trying to stay awake, and I apologize for struggling with this. Back to Remote Luxury, Violet Town. Really, really cool track. But again, that's got this that flappy sounding snare that kind of just gets really annoying. No explanation. Kind of a soft country rock vibe from the 70s. Pretty cool though. I kind of dig it. It's a soft radio rocker. 10,000 Miles. Second time Piper has ever done a lead vocal. He did one on Blurred Crusade. I forgot to mention that. I don't know why I didn't have it in my notes. Really cool song. I came to find out and re-listening to these albums that Marty Wilson Piper writes some of my favorite church songs. He really does. He's just got a very unique, groovy sound to his voice, which we'll talk about coming up shortly. He writes really interesting guitar parts. He writes cool songs. He writes about aliens a lot, which is really cool because we're going to talk about one of those songs coming up here shortly. Marty Wilson Piper's fucking cool. So is Steve Kilbey. I think they're both cool as fuck. I'm sure Peter is as well. Don't know as much about him, but I got so into the Marty Wilson Piper thing, redoing all this material, and I may have gone out and bought all of his solo albums recently. I found them fairly cheap on eBay and grabbed what I could. I did grab his first solo album, Record Store Day vinyl, which I just, that should be coming soon. So maybe a MWP deep dive at some point in time. Okay, so back to this. So 10,000 Miles, just real highlight of this compilation EP, and probably the one I'm going to play. Maybe These Boys. Man, this got to be the worst song Steve Kilbey ever wrote. And I bet he would admit that too. Maybe he would. Maybe he'd say, fuck off, Jeff, you're an asshole. But I doubt it. This is not a good song. It's got a really weird, it's a synth rocker, man. There's hardly any guitar in it that's good guitar. Let's put it that way. It does have a weirdly cool verse, but the chorus is the worst chorus ever, man. It's the worst chorus Steve Kilbey ever wrote, and it's the worst chorus ever on a church song. It's pretty bad. The cheesy synths are kind of the icing on the cake, and it's so anathema to anything that the church ever did before or will ever do again, that it's almost kind of, you almost got to laugh at the song when you hear it. You're like, really? Are they serious? Are they just like fucking with us? They got to be fucking with us. This is not real. Yeah, that song's not good. Maybe These Boys. Into My Hands. This one has the Kilby vibe and patented church sound. Big time. Love the bits of pedal steel on it. Almost country song. Very chimey 12-string acoustic. Killer electric with some chicken picking as a surprise on the solo. It's another really fantastic track. A Month of Sundays. Happy, sunny, acoustic, upbeat, airy Kilby special track. The vocals and lyrics. Love the ethereal synths. And the verses are very nostalgic. So that's the song I'm going to play. These are some lyrics from it. You're saying, no. I'm trying to remember the damn chorus now. I wrote the lyrics down. I can't remember it off the top of my head. All right. We're going to play that song. We're going to play a song from each one of these at the very end to wrap up. And if I get away with that for a week, then we'll do that in part 2. If I don't get away with it, we won't be playing any future songs. All right. Volumes. Another cool Piper-based track. You can hear it as he has a very different style than Kilby. Love the influences Marty brings into the mix. The Cockney accent by Steve, I think, is kind of funny because they duet on this one. Shadow Cabinet is a huge fave in the church canon. Dark, jangly, pop gem, insistent and pulsing. One of my favorite early church songs. The synths keys are sublime on this one. Man, I forgot about Shadow Cabinet. Holy shit. Oh, we may have to play Shadow Cabinet, man. That song is so awesome. Yeah, I think we're doing Shadow Cabinet. Remote Luxury, interesting, almost 70s proggy instrumental. It's the final track. Very unique and very unlike the church. The melodies and the structure of the song is also very un-Kilby-like. Very cool and unusual closer. This was a sort of a bridge to bigger purposes in the United States. It was a combo of the two EPs, as we talked about, Persia and Constant and Opal. And it's a bit more experimental than the first three albums, quite frankly, and the sing songs or what's it called? Man, I cannot remember the name of that fucking sing songs, right? Sing songs. Yeah, I keep thinking it's something else. When I go to say it, I'm like confused. Yeah, this is a great one. This is an OG CD from 82, 84, 84. I wish I had the back to it, but I'll probably never have the back to it unless I make something out of, Photoshop art or something. But that's the way it goes. Steve wrote 6 of the 11 tracks. They're full Kilby tracks, and the others are co-writes except volumes, which is Marty Wilson Piper. I dig the album cover too. It's very gothy. Lots of killer songs on this. This is a 9 out of 10. All day. Love it. All right. Now we're getting into the meat of what I feel is my favorite era of the church, but that's not entirely true because there's stuff later that really does it for me too. So these are the albums though that blow my mind. So we're down to, what are we down to? We're down to 4 albums. And I have 2 EPs here that I'll just really quickly touch on because there's not much to them. But we are on to this album, Heyday, which I do have the reissue of. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to be ranking these albums till I finish off all the albums. So on the 3rd episode, I'll do that. Yeah, Don, that's me, man. I'm the guy. Remember, I told you this is my YouTube channel. So, yeah, we're talking about the church tonight, though. We're not talking metal. I do other stuff than just metal. I talk a lot about metal, but we're talking about the church tonight. So, man, this album, holy fucking shit. God. As I said, we won't get to ranking the albums until the final episode, but I'm going to tell you right now. Way up there. Way up there. Might be my number 1. Could be my number 2 or number 3. I really don't think it's going to be any lower than those. This is an absolutely brilliant, fucking amazing album. Every song on here. I'm just double checking. Every song is a banger. It's a 9.7 out of 5. I'm going to lead with my number ranking on it because it is just an amazing album. So let's talk a little bit about this album. Comes out in 1985 in Australia and January in 86 in the US, November of 85 in Australia. It was recorded during the winter and spring of 1985 at Studios 301 in Sydney, Australia. EMI Parlophone in Australia and the UK, Warner Brothers in the US, and Arista in the US and Canada for the reissues. So they were repicked up by Warner's to release this album. And that was what the holdover remote luxury compilation of the 2 EPs was all about, bridging that gap. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it has 3 additional tracks and 3 videos on it, and I talk about those too. So Heyday is the 4th album, full album by the church. This was their first chart entry in the United States, cresting at number 148. The album marked the first occasion when group compositions dominated the one of the band's releases, because primarily up till now, Steve Kilbey was almost the dominant writer, almost exclusively. But now they've started to, Steve's allowed Marty and Peter, we'll talk about some of those tracks and the differences, to get involved. And also they've worked together on some tracks. Steve Kilbey has said, the demo situation was getting to us. Me writing the songs on my A track and bringing them along to the band, it sounded too stiff. We'd reached this new energy level on stage, which by far superseded anything. Sounds good, Don. Which superseded anything we've ever recorded. So we knew the only way to get sounding like that on the record was for the whole band to write together. Although most of the keyboards utilized on previous recordings have been stripped back, the album saw a greater amount of embellishment with the addition of strings and brass. While at the time Heyday featured more focus on the guitar interplay than anything since Blurred Crusade, solos had been cut to a bare minimum. Rolling Stone said that the album suggests a more electrified version of Love's Forever Changes. Very true. If you know me, you know Love's Forever Changes is a top 3 album with me, along with Rush Hemispheres, Love's Forever Changes, one of the Church albums, probably my top 3 albums of all time. I'd have to really think, because I'm overwhelmed with thinking about the Church, and I can't really remember. If I had to do a top 10 album list, I mean, the first Boston album, Led Zeppelin 4, those classic albums, Yes's Relay, there's a whole bunch of them. But, I got to do something here. Hang on a sec, guys. Got to plug in. Why did I go through that much? Man, I'm burning up energy on this one tonight. Okay. Forever Changes. That is what this album reminds me a lot of, except for a little less 60s sounding, but there's a lot of 60s on this thing. And there's not maybe as much orchestration as you would hear on Love Forever Changes, but there's quite a bit. We start the album off with the song Myrrh, like frankincense and myrrh, the 3 kings or wise 3 kings. Man, this song is just fucking so good, man. Pulsing driving rhythm track that has lots of gorgeous birds chiming guitars, tons of echo, tons of reverb, pulsating bass, really, that kind of thing. Shimmering Beauty, just a fucking epic song. I don't think I can get away with playing that. I don't think I can. We'll see. Tristesse, really cool Electric Birds vibes. Steve's voice has an extra sweetness and warmth to it. And by the way, I'm going to tangentially get off that for 1 minute. Steve's voice really kind of comes into its own on this album. Before, he was kind of dancing between trying to sound a little too British at times, trying to sound a little like Bowie at times, trying to sound a little Iggy Pop at times, trying to sound a little Iggy punk, stoogey punk. He goes for his natural voice and carries that forward from here. And this is the album that you just are like, whoa, wow, this guy is a fucking killer vocalist, man. So good. Very unique, very unto himself. Steve Kilbey sounds like nobody really sounds like Steve Kilbey, in my opinion. On this album, this is where it starts. Back to Tristesse. Has a Cure vibe to it, a poppy Cure vibe. Like, I don't want to say Just Like Heaven, because that's not exactly what it is, but it's kind of just like Heaven in a weird way. Doesn't sound like Just Like Heaven, but the vibe of it is poppy and up and positive. The synths are subtle but crucial. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous song. I wish I could play the whole album, but obviously I can't. The next song, Already Yesterday, lots of big echoey guitar arpeggios, huge warm melodic Kilby vocals, amazing chorus. Another stunning track. Columbus, the kind of surprise hit of the album. Really cool guitar melodies and a big chorus that is such a gorgeous earworm. Man, this song is so fucking amazing. I'm going to see if we can play this one, but I have a bad feeling we can't, so I may have to go with one that's a deeper track in here. But we'll see. The interplay between guitar interplay between Marty and Peter is just Donald James here. We met the other day on Josh Jones, a friend of mine, a guitarist buddy of mine. Known Josh since like 2020, the pandemic sessions. And so Don, I assume you're a guitar player or you like guitar players. Man, the guitar player on here, while not Eddie and not histrionic and stuff, the guitar interplay between the church really starts to happen so intensely on this album and moves forward from here. Just an absolute banger of a track. Happy Hunting Ground, super killer instrumental with sort of tribal, almost Moroccan hand drums. Lots of juicy guitar riffs and arpeggiated chords. Lots of single shimmering and chiming notes that just ring out and hang in the air. As the song builds, it's highlighted by this jungle beat in the second half. Lots of watery, shimmery chords, synth pads with volume swells. Just a gorgeous song that really is kind of unique in their catalog as far as experimenting. This is when they start getting into experimenting and starting to sound more psychedelic and kind of out there and more trippy, more druggy, even though they weren't, to my knowledge, doing drugs other than pot, because Steve's a lifer in the pot game. But we'll talk more about his other stuff that he gets into coming up. But this has a real stoner quality to it, not in its like stoner doom or anything, but just like you can almost opium den sort of vibe to this song. It's super cool. Love it. Tantalize, super killer. Has a bit of a I Will Follow from U2 vibe, that kind of. It's not exactly that, but it's close. A lot of echo and delay on this, a lot of stabbing arpeggiated dyads and triads, big sweeping rock chords, and the horns, which I don't think ideally I would like horns to be in a church song, but they really work in this song, and they don't overdo it, and they don't overstay their welcome. And the great thing about this song is it's right out of 1967, man. That hippie, dippy San Francisco psychedelic world. A brilliant song. Absolutely brilliant. I could play every song from this album and be a pig in shit just listening to it and seeing what anybody that comes along and listens to it thinks about it, but that'll definitely get me kicked off. Disenchanted, kind of birdsy and jangly and poppy, awesome. Another killer earworm. Kind of sounds like The Cure a bit on the chorus, but always still sounds like the church. It's a beautiful ballad. Night of Light, pretty up-tempo rocker, kind of the heaviest song. Weirdly, this one kind of reminds me of a 70s theme show vibe. Kind of like the Monkees, oddly. Like Last Train to Clarksville or another Pleasant Valley Sunday. It's got that vibe to it. And then Youth Worshipper. Oh my God, I love this song so much, man. Love this song. God, I want to play that one too. Happy and sunny and summery and sweetly beautiful. 60s-ish, early 70s-ish. Huge strings on this one that work so awesomely. The synths and the bells, just, man. I don't know what song I'm going to play from that album. It's going to be so hard. Final track, Roman, kind of brooding and dark, beautiful, mysterious, and then opens up into a more dark, jangly, hard rocker. The riffs get a little bit darker and heavier. Another banger, man. Another banger chorus. It just ends. It doesn't relent. This is a soup to nuts, fantastic album all the way through. And you might be like, well, why is it not a 10 out of 10? Well, there are some production choices I might have not done. Again, the snare has a bit of an effect on it, but that was the 80s, so it's probably that. As You Will, these are some bonus tracks for the CD and cassette versions. As You Will, really killer guitar tones on this one. Has a post-punk vibe like The Cure. Again, the early Cure, like the Pornography era, maybe Faith era, or even Three Imaginary Boys or something like that. It's got that kind of vibe to it. The ethereal multi-layered vocals and atmospheric synths make this one a really killer track. It's really haunting. Man, just again, it should have been on the album. This should have been a double album for me. The View is a Marty Wilson Piper song, taking lead vocals. It's pretty glorious. Such a pretty and lush track with really cool arpeggiated riffs. And it's another standout track. Like, why that song was on there, I don't know. And then finally, Trance Ending, which is definitely my favorite track on this album that didn't make the album. And actually, we can definitely get away with playing that one. So that's the one it's going to be, because if you like that track, you're going to fucking love the rest of the album. But Trance Ending, I don't know why it was on there. It should have been the last song. The title itself says it. Absolutely fucking banger. To this point in their career, this was easily the Church finding their definitive sound. It was by far the best album and production they had achieved thus far. This album is incredibly special, man. I love it to bits. Every song is a fucking banger. I'm going to give it a 9.75 out of 10. Like I said, to me, this is the album where the band fully realized their sound, and it's a gorgeous pop alt rock masterpiece. Just real quick to say a couple of additional notes on this. As I said, it's compared to Love's Forever Changes. And when I read that, I was like, God, man, why didn't I think of that? Like, why didn't I think of that? I should have put that together, but I didn't. But thankfully, I read it because it's very true. So if you love the album, Love Forever Changes, the band is Love. Forever Changes is the album of the name. You're going to fucking love this album big time. One other quick note was the Church released this November of 85 after locking themselves in EMI studios with producer Peter Walsh. Peter Walsh was fresh off of producing The Simple Minds' New Gold Dream, another huge favorite album of mine. Walsh used natural drum recording techniques with minimal compression, capturing Richard Ploug's anxious playing with an almost ethereal quality. The result gave the album its lush atmospheric texture. This also marked the first time the group compositions dominated the Church release, and because they abandoned Kilby's stiff demo process. And again, Kilby's vocals kind of took on a new amazingness on this album. So absolutely killer, all killer, no filler. An album that I would recommend to anybody that wants to get into 80s music. This might be, along with like Tears for Fears output, I think the Church and Tears for Fears and Cure, those are the three 80s bands that for me are kind of untouchable. The Smiths too. Remember, guys, I'm old. I'm 60 fucking years old in March. I know I only look like I'm 25 or 27 at most. But, that's a joke, by the way. But I've been there. I've done that. I was there. This was my shit. As much as I love death metal and black metal and 70s classic rock and prog, the 80s is something special for me, man, because I was a teenager and I was experiencing life at that point. So, all right, this is the big one. Starfish, the big breakthrough internationally. Didn't last very long, but this yielded the song Under the Milky Way, which, again, if you've never heard that song, I got to think you're probably dead, or you don't go out at all, or don't own a radio or a TV, or you don't go grocery shopping or whatever. It's the fifth album. Came out in 1988, February. It was internationally released at the same time, recorded in 87. This was recorded for the very first time in the United States in Los Angeles. Los Angeles. This is the 2-disc version. I'll hit on these songs at another time. I got so overwhelmed with all the material I was into. Very good. Yes, Mario. Exactly. It's fucking timeless, dude. Couldn't have said it any better. I didn't realize you were that much younger than me, man. I thought you were closer to later 40s. I didn't realize that. How about that, man? Well, good for you, man. You got a long ways to go, bro. I'm nearing the finish line. Hey, what's up? Nah, Rick's not here. It's just me, dude. I don't know if Rick's he might be in the chat, but I kind of doubt it. I think he probably dipped out. Yeah, Starfish by the Church. Kind of their the album that if you know the Church, this is the album you probably might know a little bit about, but maybe not. I don't know. This was released internationally by Arista. This was the breakthrough internationally. It went gold in America and has remained their most successfully commercial release. The album sold 600,000 copies in the United States alone, so over 500,000 albums. I would imagine that by now, it's probably maybe pushing more like closer to 1 million. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. The first single, Under the Milky Way, charted on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 24 and at number 2 in the mainstream rock tracks, leading to significant exposure of the then relatively unknown underground Australian act. Oh, Rick is still here. Cool. In Australia, Under the Milky Way climbed to number 22, and Starfish reached number 11 on the album charts. Touring for Starfish in '88 marked the first time that the bulk of the shows were in North America instead of Australia or Europe. European dates were limited to 2 weeks in March and April, and another week at the end of June, while the only Australian shows were in Melbourne and Sydney at the end of April. So the U.S. label was dumping some money into them because, hey, guys, we got a hit. We got that Under the Milky Way song, man. Let's milk that motherfucker for all we can. Get it? Milky Way. Milk. All right, anyway. Moving on. I'm a little bit delirious from the heat still. The North American leg was extensive, however, covering virtually all of May and June. Another month of dates from mid-August to mid-September, and still more shows in October. On the August and September dates, the Church were paired with Peter Murphy. Oh, we don't even talk about Peter Murphy, one of my faves, but I won't go there right now. Former lead singer of the cult post-punk goth band Bauhaus, now pursuing a mildly successful solo career. And that would have been right around the time I think that Peter Murphy put out the album Deep, which I've never talked a lot about Deep except for in a bullshit stream we did one night where I was playing a lot of 80s songs, and I played a song called Cuts You Up by Peter Murphy. The album Deep by Peter Murphy. Absolute fucking banger classic, man. Banger classic. So, yeah, well, I don't know. I you know what? I disagree with you entirely, man, and I'll tell you why. I still hear this song, and every time I hear it, I think it's just a fucking amazing track. I just think it's one of those tracks that never gets old for me. You know, I don't ever want to hear Sweet Child of Mine and fucking, you know, Welcome to the Jungle and, you know, Looks That Kill and, you know, Hell's Bells. But this song, I can listen to it all day, every day, and never get sick of it. But I get your point. I do get your point. All right, so they were out with Peter Murphy for a number of other dates on the tour. The band was paired with Tom Verlaine of Television. Interesting. Verlaine supported the Church for their encore every night. They brought Verlaine onto the stage with them for a three-way guitar duel. Some fans consider the Verlaine Church shows to be some of the best live performances they've ever witnessed. Drummer Richard Ploog became gradually disengaged from the band during the tour, even though he stayed with the Church for another 2 years. The exact nature of his malady is unknown, but most agree that they started getting into LSD and mushrooms and lots of weed, and soon a much more dangerous drug comes into the play. But they were doing a lot of drugs. The Church were doing a lot of drugs. Those Aussies know how to party, apparently. There were degrees of internal strife that started to erupt within the band, and with the high pressure of expectations from Arista. Because of this, Kilby started smoking more pot on the tour than any other point in his life. Such large quantities that he routinely coughed up blood. I don't know where they get that from, but you know, it's Wikipedia. I'll find out when I read that book. By the tour's end, the Church had performed 94 shows across the United States, Canada, Europe, the United Kingdom, and Australia. And you know what? Cannibal Corpse says, hold my beer. Obituary says, hold my beer. 94 shows. Come on. You guys are a bunch of pussies or what? Anyway, yeah, it's just, they weren't used to that. The metal life, you know. All right, so let's get underway with these songs on this album. This is a fucking fantastic album. It's right there on par with Heyday. It's probably got the bigger hits, the bigger earworm hits, but frankly, it's the biggest one for a reason. It's got a couple of their very best songs on it, without question. So starts out with Destination. Starts out with these really eerie sort of slashing notes, real plotting, droning verse, lots of volume swells and otherworldly Kilby vocals, man. God, this song is so good, man. And it's kind of portends what's coming, what's continuing to develop, and Steve Kilby's amazing development as a songwriter. This song is just such a banger opener, which I should mention, almost every Church album opens with a killer opener. They were good at those, very good at those. Dark, mysterious, kind of a masterpiece, man. Just menacing. This is a menacing song. Like, this could be a metal song if you had more intense, like, distortion and crank the volume up. This would be a fucking metal song for sure. Destination. Then we do Milky Way. The huge hit, I will never tire of hearing. It's just too good. That's why. Kilby's delivery, that world-weary, moon at night driving sort of vibe. You know, this is a song when you're driving at night. This comes on. You put this on. You crank the tunes. And you're cruising. And you're like, God, this is so good, man. This is the thing. Not because it's night and you can see the Milky Way. Well, I guess you can't see the Milky Way, but you get my point. It's a driving song. Amazing song. Blood Money, you got the slippery intro guitar fills over an insistent arpeggiated repeating riff. It's a repeating riff. It just goes over and over and over, but you got these slashing sort of notes that come in that are super cool. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Every Breath You Take in a weird way, but not reggae and a lot darker. Really, it pales in comparison to the first two opening tracks, but it's a great song. Lost is another laconic, dreamy, and hazy mid-tempo beauty. You just get, pardon the pun, lost in the sound. Lush, sadly beautiful. That chorus, the drifty chorus is, oh man, it's so good. And it really reminds me a lot of a song that was written much later, and I never asked Steven about this, but it reminds me of a Porcupine Tree song called Fade Away. I was thinking of that earlier tonight. What's this chorus remind me of? That's what it reminds me of. Boom. My sick brain sometimes struggles with correlations, but I get them at some point. Antenna, probably the one song on the album I could do without. Sounds a bit like an Irish jig. It's okay. It's kind of mediocre. It's my one song on the album I probably would skip. And then we come to the fucking song. I think it's my favorite fucking song by this band. I think. Of course, you could ask me tomorrow and I could change my mind. But this song is my favorite song because it has the coolest guitar arpeggios and riffs on it. It's such a badass song, and I am talking about the song Reptile. Reptile fucking rules. It is just so good. I'm not going to get my guitar. I should have pulled it out, but I love playing that song. I love it. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, man, and the chorus, the lyrics, you know, when you get into that bit where, and you know, if you watch my shit, you know I like to sometimes sing lyrics, so I'm gonna sing some lyrics here, but I gotta find them. Sorry, that's not it. Where'd it go? Give me a moment, because I should know the lyrics, but I don't remember them off the top of my head. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! I'm just gonna pull it up here. All right, so it starts out with that, you know, too dangerous to keep, too feeble to let go, and you want to bite the hand. Should have stopped this long ago. Go now, you've been set free. Another month or so, you'll be gorging on me with a lovely smile. I see you slither away with your skin and your tail, your flickering tongue and your rattling scales like a real reptile. That is fucking poetry right there, man. That is fucking poetry, dude. That is some of the best lyrics you're ever going to hear about a breakup with somebody, because it's so visual. You can put it. I know I could put a couple of X's to those lyrics. I could just say, let's put it that way. Not to be a dick, but just being honest. Reptile, mega banger, super banger, interstellar supernova banger, just fucking badass track. A new season, up tempo, happy, almost countryous. Very jangly, kind of reminds me of a Heyday song, but it's still like a great song, even though it's probably my second least favorite song. And then Hotel Room is a real brooding, dark kind of. It begins on a dark track and ends on a dark track. Yeah, just my first entry point into the band. I think I would have closed on Reptile with this album versus Hotel Room, but I kind of get why, because Hotel Room's quite a bit longer and it's a little bit more mysterious sounding, I guess. Reptile's a little more direct. I mean, you can dance to Reptile if you have to, for sure. But yeah, good, fucking amazing song. Amazing album, man. This is again, another 9.75 out of 10. I deduct a little bit for the two songs that I'm not as into, but the production on this album is fucking insanely good. Did I mention who produced it? I don't know if I even said. Was it the Church? Oh, it was Greg Lunt. What? Waddy Wachtel. I don't know if you guys know who Waddy Wachtel. It plays guitar for Stevie Nicks. Played in the Doobie Brothers. I think he might have played in Zappa for a little bit. He's played in a lot of different bands. Kind of a journeyman guitar player that plays with a lot of different 70s acts. Maybe Simon and Garfunkel live? Did he play with them? I think. Let me see. There he is. He's a musician and composer, obviously. But he's been around. Jackson Browne. He's worked with Brian Ferry. He's worked with Iggy Pop, Keith Richards, Linda Ronstadt. Shit, man. Like everybody. Randy Newman, John Bon Jovi, James Taylor. He's been around, man. This guy's done it all. Great guitar player. Cool dude. And he's the reason I own that guitar up on the wall up there. That Dean Cadillac is the reason I bought a Cadillac, was because I saw Waddy Wachtel playing one with the Doobie Brothers, I think. I think it was the Doobies. No, it couldn't have been the Doobies. Maybe I'm thinking of the other Patrick in the Doobies. Maybe I saw him first. It was either, but I know Waddy Wachtel uses one. Also, Rick Ocasek used one in the Cars too. So anyway, I'm getting tangential because I'm getting so tired. Yeah, fucking banger of an album, man. I just love this album. You can't go wrong. I think most people start here. Most people end here too. They don't go further than this. That's a big mistake. Big mistake. All right. Next album. Gold Afternoon Fix. I always like this album cover. I don't know why. I don't know how fake all that shit is. I'm sure it's, they're superimposed over those backgrounds. That's probably not real. We're talking 1990 here. So Rick, did they have Photoshop back in 1990? Or they probably had some photographic sort of thing that you could superimpose images, I'm sure. This one here. The weird thing about this album is a lot of Church fans don't like this album. And they shit all over this album. Well, I'm here to tell you they're fucking wrong. Here's why. We'll get into it. This came out April 9th, 1990. Recorded in Hollywood at Ocean Way. Recorded 1989. Came out on Mushroom label, not EMI. I guess they were dropped. I don't really know. I don't think they were. Let me look here. And Arista internationally. Maybe Arista bought the rights to it, is probably what it was. Waddy Wachtel produces this one as well, along with the Church. It's their 6th album. It was expected to capitalize and build momentum on Starfish. It had moderate success in the U.S. with the single Metropolis reaching the top of the modern rock tracks, but the release failed to deliver mass commercial appeal. Probably because not a lot of it's super duper commercial. It's more commercial, but it's not uber commercial. Following their tour for the Starfish album in '88, the band members went home for a 4-month break before reconvening to begin work on the next album. Arista demanded demos of all the tracks before the official recordings process could begin. These demos were recorded in Sydney at Fatboy Studios by a young engineer by the name of Cameron Hallett. The band was tired of the material by the time the recording sessions commenced in '89. Further difficulties arose when the band wanted ex-Led Zeppelin bassist John Paul Jones to produce, but the record label wanted to team the band again with LA session musician Waddy Wachtel and engineer Greg Ladanvi. Not wanting to change what had been a winning formula before for Starfish, Arista feared a Jones-Church collaboration might turn out to be too arty and non-commercial, and vetoed the venerable musician in favor of the safer and commercially tested Wachtel. Although Ladanvi was left out, band members repeatedly noted how much they disliked recording Starfish. That album's song, North, South, East, and West, which, did I overlook that song? Holy fuck, I overlooked that song. How did I do that? North, South, East, West, second best song on that album, Starfish. I wish I could play that because I can't, but the guitar and the guitar fills are to die for on that song. So I skipped that track, man. Probably my favorite song on that album, other than maybe Reptile, is North, South, East, West, and I skipped it. I'm trying to hurry too much because I want to play a couple of these songs. So, all right. Let's see. One quick thing to note here is the demo recording for Gold After Fix were more successful than the finished album, despite the roughness. Plug left the group for good. I guess there was here. Recording sessions for the albums were particularly fraught with in-band tension and drama, led by drummer Richard Plug being ostracized. While some of the bare, open sound that had characterized Starfish punctuates the recordings, the use of programmed drums instead of Plug's live performances on all but 4 tracks resulted in the album being criticized as somewhat stiff and cold. According to biographer Robert Dean Laurie, who's the writer of that book I showed at the beginning, the No Certainty Attached Steve Kilby book, he states that the demo recordings for Gold Afternoon Fix were more successful than the finished album, despite the roughness. Plug left the group for good following the recordings, and former Patti Smith group drummer J.D. Daugherty was brought in for the tour. Despite the album's title, Steve Kilby was not yet using heroin at this point. He only started smoking the drug. So he was smoking opium at this point, smoking heroin, but he was not shooting up, which he does end up doing at some point, which is kind of crazy. When I learned that, I was kind of shocked. He was introduced to the drug by Grant McLennan of the Go-Betweens. I don't know who that is. Is he alive? Nope, he's dead. And my guess is he probably overdosed. He died of a heart attack. Okay, well, it looks like maybe he got clean. He died in 2006. So there you go. This was 1990. So someone introduced him to heroin. That guy. Let's see. It's unique among the Church releases in that there are no 12-string guitars on this album. The missing trademark sound was due to guitarist Marty Wilson Piper's 12-string Rickenbacker having been stolen during the previous tour. The title actually derives from a stock market term relating to the daily price, which is set for gold Afternoon Fix. Okay, so this starts out with the song Pharaoh. Man. God, this song is so good, man. It's just such a banger of a track. One kind of cool thing about this song, and I guess that, it's not laden with 5, 6, 7 minute songs, which you're going to start seeing more and more and more of after this. A lot of the songs, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs are under 4 minutes, or 4 minutes or under, or right around 4 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 tracks are 4 minutes plus, like longer 4 minutes. So they're starting to get into writing these longer tracks. Pharaoh, super dark and droning lead-off track with lots of cool off-time drumming and drony chiming drifting, hanging notes. I love this song. Reminds me of a song that's coming up on Priest equals Aura, which is the album after this. Metropolis. Again, if you've heard Milky Way and you haven't heard Metropolis, I'd be shocked. Back to Metropolis, circuses and elephants. Da, 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 da. I mean, if you haven't heard that song, I'd be shocked. Again, you're probably not shopping for groceries or going to the mall. You know that intro down, 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 down. Just a beautiful guitar line, really super cool. I still love this song too. It's a great radio hit. I never get tired of hearing this. Probably because I'm a big Church fan. Maybe if I wasn't a huge fan, I'd be like, oh, not this song again. But I love this song. Terra Nova Kane, a Marty Wilson Piper track. Love this song, man. Mysterious, disorienting, due to that there's a piercing little arpeggio that pops in frequently. And then the song gets and starts to sound on the chorus kind of like Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. It's just such a killer song. It's either my favorite song on the album or it's my second favorite. It's right there, man. I don't know if we get away with playing that one, but we might try because I love it. Next song is City. Kind of a boppy, happy, drifty, floaty ballad. Very airy, but sort of trippy and trance-like. So it's still got trappings of what the Church are becoming. Monday Morning is a pretty little ballad that's soft and lilting and sort of has a real sense of sadness, but yet it's weirdly uplifting. Russian Autumn Heart. Terra Nova Kane, by the way, is a mix of, I believe, Kilby and Marty Wilson Piper. Russian Autumn Heart is Marty Wilson Piper singing. He sounds very Tom Petty-ish on this, which is great. He sounds a lot like Tom Petty. I love it. Has a ripping noise guitar solo on it. It's such a fucking killer song. I love it. Essence is cool, kind of typical Church. Not a great one. Probably one of the lesser songs for me. Probably more reminiscent of Heyday. And then we get to Disappointment, which is mostly acoustic. Mellow ballad, has a decidedly Spanish and Mediterranean feel. The acoustic solo, I'm not sure who it is. I think it's Marty. Is really particularly special. And again, not something that you hear a lot in a Church song. And Kilby's just on this album and the one before, he's developing this drifty, drony sort of vocal delivery that's just perfect. It's so amazing. Transient. I think that's Peter Kappas singing on this one. Kind of dark and hypnotic. Cool guitar arpeggio lines that drone and wave around as the vocal melody, or with the vocal melody. It really catches your ear. It's very world weary. It has a world weary vibe to it. But Kappas kind of has a Dylan sounding voice. Not exactly, but a little bit. Has a little bit of that Dylan rasp. But I dig this track a lot. I think it's great. Laughing is lush ballad, lots of ebow and volume swells. It's probably my sleeper track for Dark Horse for underappreciated tracks. Kilby does do a little vocal affectations on here, which is good. And then we've got, let's see, Fading Away, which is perhaps that's the one you probably could have left off. To be honest with you, it's okay. It's probably my least favorite song. Kilby calls this the existential surf song on the album. Whatever that means, I'm not sure. I'm sure it'll be in the book. And then we've got the closer, Grind, which I hope I can play. That's the song, man. Grind, Pharaoh, Terra Nova Kane, Russian Autumn Heart, Monday Morning. Oh, I missed You're Still Beautiful, Baby, which is really kind of an unusual song for them, but I love this track. Lots of Church fans hate this track. I dig it. It's kind of was another minor hit after Metropolis, and they released like 4 songs off this album as singles. I think this is the only one that charted other than Metropolis. Let's see. It's kind of weird in their catalog. It was likely made for radio. I love the chorus. You're so beautiful, baby. It's such cool. Video's super weird and super cool. I don't know if it's somebody close to the band, like a manager or recording somebody. I don't know. I don't know. What the fuck was that noise? Sorry, I just heard a weird noise. But he's dressed in drag and he just keeps sitting there going, got lipstick on. It's pretty weird. It's totally trippy. I love this song, and it's 1990, and Steve blasts out the word "fuck" in the lyrics. Had to be kind of unusual for that time frame. I know we were getting into the PMRC era a couple years before that. Probably some rap songs had the F-bomb on it, but not many mainstream pop songs would have the F-bomb in it, but this one does. And Steve's cool, man. I've seen a lot of his interviews. He talks like I do. That's why we'd have a great conversation, I think. And then lastly, we talked about Grind. Absolute fucking banger. Also, along with that came out, when it came out, I should say, was 2 EPs that I got, or 2 singles. This one is the Russian Autumn Heart single. With Hunter, The Feast, Desert, and Ride into the Sunset on the backing. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not get to listen to these, so we'll get to that one later. I forgot that had bonus tracks. I thought it was just a CD single, but it's CD5 they call it. So it's got 4 tracks on it, plus it's got the single itself and then 4 bonus tracks, which I am shocked I didn't listen to those. So I need to check them out and get back to you on those. And looks like everybody's going to bed. We had up to like 10 or 11 people, and then everybody started dropping off. And then the last thing that came out in conjunction with that was this. And it came out in like an EPK with a cassette and a CD and like a little booklet, I believe. I just found the CD for $3. Basically, it's Metropolis from the album, the exact song. Monday Morning, the exact song. And then Much Too Much, which is actually a fucking cool song, man. Weird, pulsing, lurching psych track. Kind of odd, but Kilby's vocals are really cool. And it's noisy. It's a very odd track, Much Too Much. It's very much too much for me to take. It's all too much too much. It's all too much. Cool track. I like it. All right. So again, this also had a bonus disc that came out with those 2005 reissues, 2003 reissues, whenever they came out. Maybe it was 2001. Shit, when did they come out? 2002, all the reissues. The first 7 or 8 albums came out on. So if anyone runs across the 2 CD version of this, please contact me. Think of me. Okay? You can send it to me as a gift again, or I'll buy it from you if you're not crazy. But I mean, looking for this online right now, if I go look this up on Discogs for the this particular reissue, I'm gonna say it's probably $80 to $100. I'm gonna guess. Let me guess. Okay, 2002. There we go. 2005 it came out. $89.99, and there's not even any for sale. Fuck. And there's a lot of tracks on the bonus side that some are on that EP, like Ride into the Sunset, Hunter. Is there one more on here that's on there? Where's it go? The Feast. So I do have 4 of those tracks, but there's 11 bonus tracks, some acoustic versions, several songs that aren't on there at all. And I just noted that there's 2 other bonus tracks, one called Laughing and Fade Away. Did I talk about them? You know what? I didn't review those because I didn't have that version online to review. So there you go. Yeah. Final analysis. Many long-term church fans shit on this album, and to be honest, I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. Yeah, it might be a little ever so slightly poppier on its surface, and the drummer situation, drum machine thing was a disappointment. And yeah, this album could have been a little bit shorter, but it's the start of the CD era. This is 1990, the start of the CD era, where you can put 70 minutes on a CD, and a lot of bands and a lot of labels absolutely requested that you put that much material on there. So lots of bands are filling up CDs with a lot of excess tracks. The difference for me with the church than a lot of other bands of that era that were maxing out their CD lengths is that almost always the bonus tracks are as good as the actual album. Not always, but in most cases, the church bonus tracks are as good as the others. All right, so last album we're going to get to tonight, and then I'll play some songs from each of these to give you an idea, and hopefully I won't get kicked off. It's late enough, and it's a Sunday night, so I probably won't. So Priest Equals Aura. Love that album artwork. Not so crazy about the font, but I love this album artwork. And very sparse. Very sparse. This is an original that God knows when I got it, but late 90s, early 2000s maybe. This came out in 1992. Again, killer artwork. And that's what I used for the thumbnail. Came out March 10th, 92. Was recorded during 91 at 301 Studios. Back to Sydney now. Gold Afternoon Fix is kind of a big flop. They didn't get anywhere near the success that they had from Starfish because they didn't. Metropolis didn't turn out to be an Under the Milky Way, and so they're now back to they're relegated to not being a thing. Sorry, got hair in my mouth there. After touring their previous album with new drummer, the church returned to Sydney Studio 301 to commence work on new material. With lowered commercial expectations and less pressure from Arista, the atmosphere was more relaxed than the fraught LA sessions for the previous two albums. Bringing in British producer Gavin McKillop, who did Toad the Wet Sprocket, Bare Naked Ladies, bands like that, to supervise the session. The band began to improvise the framework for the next set of songs. The use of opium for Kilby, heroin, saw the material take on a more expansive and surreal quality. While Daughtry's occasionally jazz-like approach on drums brought to a fresh approach to the sound. Peter Koppes has said, when we made Priest Equals Aura, we were completely opiated. We were getting opium from the fields in Tasmania. Wow. Where it was being grown by U.S. pharmaceutical companies. At nearly 65 minutes, it was their longest release to date so far, with song concepts derived from cryptic one-word working titles, an idea originally proposed by Wilson Piper. The lyrics leaned toward the abstract and the esoteric, emphasizing free association and undirected coincidence between the music and the motif. Kilby declined to define their meanings. Sonically, the interplay between Koppes and Wilson Piper dominated throughout. Very guitar-driven album and synth-driven. Wilson, especially on tracks such as Ripple, Kings, and Chaos, whose lyrics were a reflection of Kilby's unsettled lifestyle at the time. Upon its release on March 10th, it was issued in the United States slightly before Australia. Priest Equal Aura had less chart success than any of the predecessors, although it peaked in the ARIA album charts top 30. It was given a mixed reception in Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone's Ira Robbins called the album rich in texture, but with an arid atmosphere. The band went on a sold-out tour of Australia, the Jokes Magic Souvenirs Tour, as Kilby prepared for the birth of his twin daughters. But after the final gig, founding guitarist Peter Koppes announced his departure, increasing personality conflicts. God damn it. Announced his departure, increasing personality conflicts, especially with Wilson Piper, who had been moonlighting with UK band All About Eve, combined with frustration over the church's declining chart success, had made the situation intolerable. Cobbs would eventually return to guest with the band on the tour for the 1986 album Magician Among the Spirits and rejoined permanently in 1997. Which song had the refrain "Here for Now" on which album? On this album? Priest Equals Aura? Not sure. Not sure. I don't know all the words to every song, man. I mean, I wish I did, but I'm not. My 6-year-old brain ain't that good anymore. All right, so Aura opens out, very brooding, mysterious, very dark and mystical sounding, very Moroccan and Middle Eastern, and very kind of like the Moroccan coast vibe to it, right? This song, man, I'm gonna blow my ranking out of the water right now. This is by far my favorite Church album, like by leaps and bounds. This album is a top 5 album for me of all times. It's so special to me. I don't even know how to like really put it into words. I'll try at the end when I do a final analysis. And I've never done opium. I've never done heroin. I've done other drugs, but not those. I've smoked weed and listened to this album. Pretty glorious. Pretty glorious. I haven't done it in a long time. So I can't really do the weed much anymore with my brain issues with the neurological stuff. But I'd like to again, to be honest with you. Yeah, just a fucking killer track. This song, Aura, one of my all-time faves. This song takes me to places in my head. I groove away big time on it. Just astral traveling. That's what I feel like. I'm astral traveling when I'm listening to this. The cool lyrical juxtapositions, the whining, moaning guitars, the groove-laden bass. Man, such a badass song. I don't know if I can play this one, but I kind of want to. But it's not even my favorite song on the album. Great night driving song. This whole album, perfect night driving song or album. This album and Over's Perdition City, 2 best night driving albums ever. Also, Beck's Sea Changes is great for that too. Ripple, another spacious jam track that has that it factor. Kilby's voice at its narcotic, hypnotic best. So killer. The transposition to the chorus is so unexpectedly cool and smooth. Just love this song. The killer solo is so ethereal and it's really not like any other solo by the Church standards until much later when they get into the more Space Jam stuff, this is the beginning of that. This is the start of the Space Jam period. Paradox, languid, dreamy, drugged, ballad, gorgeous. The pre-chorus into the chorus is so magical. Oh, man, I want to play that song. This is a song you should lie in bed and dream to or make love to. There you go. Luster, another complete banger. Drifting, spacey, narcotic, hazy on the verses and a more direct chorus, but still pillowy, like you're falling in the space between the instruments and the vocals. And this whole album is like that for me. It's like I feel like I'm in between the spaces of the music and the lyrics and the vocals. I feel like I can crawl into those spaces in the music and just be enveloped by it. This album would be the perfect surround sound album. I wish Steven Wilson would do this in Atmos. Holy fuck, man, that would be mind-blowing. Luster, absolutely monstrous track. Just a monstrous track. Swan Lake, my only track I don't like on the album much. It's cold. It leaves me cold. It's pretty short. It's just weird. I don't know why, but this song is the only song on the album that doesn't do it for me, but the rest of the songs are so powerfully good that I still say this is a 9.9995 out of 10. But that song doesn't do it for me. Feel, I love this one. Sunny, like a warm blanket on a cold night. Love it so much. It has radio poppiness to it. Super 60s psychedelic Beatles sounding chorus. Just amazing. Mistress, super dark and loungy, almost jazzy. Smoky, the track mesmerizes and enchants. The chorus is a fucking banger, and it's a favorite on my album. It's stunningly intoxicating. Maybe we'll do that one. I'm just gonna go like the one I see that I want to do. That's what I'm gonna go with. Kings, cool, jangly, Leslie sounding guitar track, which that's on this album is kind of unusual because this isn't a Leslie sounding album. Like, hey Nate, what's up, dude? You should know about this album, dude. This album I'm talking about, you should know about. It's fucking epic. The Church, Priest equals Aura, one of my top 5 albums of all time. Top 5 easy. Maybe top 3 even. Okay, where were we at? Very hypnotic, lots of swirling guitars, and yet super lush, cool arpeggiated chiming chords. Just an amazing track, Kings is. Dome, drifting and repetitive. An insistent track that has a vibe to it. That's the title. I'm sorry, that little repeating chiming dyads are super infectious, even though they repeat over and over again. Very hypnotic. Dome, it's like this droney sort of like tripping sort of song. Witch Hunt's just a weird little circus-like track in between, like an interlude. Has a Beatles strangeness, and it goes into The Disillusionist, which is another fucking massively killer track. Beast of a track. I got to see this one live. I've only seen this band one time in 2014 after a much later album, but I'm going to see them in June. If I'm still kicking, I'm definitely going to be there in June. They're doing all their hits. They're doing the singles tour, and they're playing near Philadelphia, so I will be there. You got to hear The Disillusion. It's like a fucking Scottish Irish sea shanty chant, like oh ho ho da dum da dum da dum. But you got to hear it. The lyrics are fucking killer. It's about a headless dude. It's such an awesome track. I should mention here that Steve Kilbey, one of the best abstract lyricists you're ever going to see out there. Absolutely an amazing lyricist. Just stunning. Just so good. So good. For those of you who are sticking around, you're going to get a treat because you get to hear some songs unless they kick me off. So we'll see how that goes. But Old Flame, gorgeous little interlude, dreamy, balladesque. It's beautiful. Kind of odd because it's very short. It's only an hour, minute and 37 long, but whatever. And then we come to the Grand Beast. Man, I mean, it's so hard for me to pick my favorite song on this album, but the last song, Chaos, 9:34, long Space Jam session, has a really haunted and menacing vibe to it. Propulsive. The intro is propulsive and throbbing. Transient. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, The Church at Night in the Desert, bro. You got it, dude. Absolutely, man. That's the shit. That is the shit. So yeah, the song Chaos. Jesus, man. It goes into a chorus that has a weird, almost Killing Joke circa Pandemonium or Brighter Than 1,000 Suns. That's another album everybody should know. Both of them. Another band everybody should know. I've already done a Killing Joke deep dive with Nick, so go check that out. That was a couple years ago. This song Chaos. This is Chaos. Oh, it's so good. So fucking good, man. This song in particular on this album should be required listener for everybody. About 4 minutes left in the song. It just sounds like it's going to implode. It gets this fiery pit of hell vibe to it. It's otherworldly. This is an otherworldly song from an otherworldly band. I just don't even know. But I'm going to read some lyrics from Chaos, then we're going to list some songs. Underneath them is a void. Beyond that void is a place where figments from bad dreams are banished. Childhood nightmares all come seeking. Childhood nightmares all come seeking. An adult logic nearly vanished. Chaos, chaos. And then there's a backing vocal to that says inside down, upside out. None of this is what I wanted. I truly asked for what I got. Bang the gavel, it's lawlessness. I can't unravel the knot. Half this wretched town is starving while the other half are bloated. Everyone hates the bastards in power, but their pill is sugar-coated. I didn't need any of this. I feel anxiety in my neck. The consequence is now apparent. feeding back unchecked, incessant blue in spiral coils, fingers underneath the skin, adrenaline is not my mistress. Man, oh my God, dude. The lyrics, like the imagery it conjures in this song is just beyond perception. It's so good. I can't play this song because we'll be here all night if I do, and I'm sure they'll get me. The last two songs on the bonus album, there's three songs on the bonus reissue, but then there's a second CD one. That one's almost impossible to find, and this album is almost impossible to find on vinyl without paying over $100. Film is a cinematic ending track, very trippy, exceedingly cured disintegration era like. But you can kiss the closeness to the sound. I don't know what I'm saying there. I can't read my own note. Nightmare, bonus track on the reissued edition from 11 onwards. This is a pretty heavy rocker that throbs and pulses and has some killer lyrics invokes from Kilby. Should have been on the album instead of Swan Lake or Old Flame. And Fog is a bonus track that is super killer too. It's another great track. I'd have put those two on and taken Swan Lake and Old Flame off. I stole every bit of this from a reviewer I saw on Rate Your Music because it's exactly how I feel about this album. I don't know that I could have put this into words. And I apologize. I keep touching my nose and my face. I have a sinus. Well, it's part of my illness. I'm all congested and I have to blow my ears out every now and again because my ear canals close up and then I get a weird perception of sound. My whole left side of my head's all stuffed up. This guy said it exactly. And this is from Purple Days on Rate Your Music. It's exactly how I would explain this album and what it is and what it does for me, okay? History tells us about the circumstances surrounding the creation of Priest Equals Aura. In fact, it's there, in Kilby's own words, in a review borrowed borrowed from his always entertaining blog. He has a blog, which I put in the description below. I'll be damned that's not the perfect description. Oh, wait, hold on. In Kilby's own words in a review below, borrowed from his always entertaining blog, he calls this album widescreen cinematic wraparound. And I'll be damned if that's not the perfect description for its sound. You can't separate any parts of it as it's a whole experience. All in one, all essential to the whole. So trying to point out highlights or lowlights is pointless. Removing anything from the whole and it changes the experience. It washes over you, imbibes in you, creating a feeling, a vibe between album and listener that's as blissful as any drug I've ever taken. Don't tell mom, but I've partaken in the past, occasional opiate. And I have taken opiates for pain relief, but I've never taken them recreationally. So just to throw that out there. Feeling's the same. If you take a pain, a Percocet or a, Dilaudid or whatever, I don't really know the names of a lot of Vicodin, whatever, those type of pills. There's a feeling that an opiate gives you that no other drug on the world can give you. And keeping in mind that Steve was using a lot during this period, this album sounds like what it would be like to get inside the drug. It's the oral equivalent. It's the oral equivalent of that mellow euphoric rush that overtakes you as it works its way into your bloodstream. That's how hard this album hits for me. Essential record, deserves any self-respecting rock music's fan. This guy gave it a 5 stars. I gave it a 9.995, and the reason I do that is just one small bit because I don't really like Swan Lake a lot, and the other little ballad interlude is kind of, when it gets going, you're like, oh well, why did it end? The Old Flame song. So, yeah, I did know that he was living down there. He's a migrator, man. I don't even think he owns a home. I don't think he has an apartment or anything. I think he just moves around and couch surfs, and he's kind of a renegade, sort of a nomad, But anyway, there's the first part of yeah. Back to pre-sequels are essential album. Anyone that likes alternative rock, that likes rock music, that likes psychedelic jams, you should know this album. You just should. You should know it well because it is. It's honestly one of the most killer albums that I think any band could ever or will ever write. That's my opinion, of course. Um, but I'll never forget, when I got this album and threw it in, I was mesmerized by it for months and months and months. It's just all I wanted to listen to all the time. And recently, when I went back to it, I'm like, oh man, I need to listen to this more often. I need to keep all my church stuff out because I had to dig it out from various different places to find out what I had. It was in different boxes, and I always knew I was going to do this deep dive at some point. And I struggled because I wanted to do it with other people, but there aren't a lot of people that know this band nearly like I do in the way that I do, and I don't know everything about them, as you see. Um, I'm not, a historian on the band like this guy that wrote the book seems to be, and I didn't have time to, I didn't put the time in to write a book for this band, so it's like, it's kind of, so yeah, so part two. What I think I'm going to do with part two, let me take a look here. I think what I'm going to do with part two is we're going to start with Sometime Anywhere, which is a very long album. My God. Between the two discs, I think it's like damn near 2 hours long, but there's a lot of killer stuff on here. A couple of things I'm not as big on, but it's still a lot of awesome material. So we'll start with Sometime Anywhere, and we'll probably get down to, let's see. We're going to go through the real Space Jam era of the band, and we'll probably get to, let me take a look real quick at Hologram of Bow, Box of Birds, After Everything Now This. Wait till we get to that album, man. And Forget Yourself, another killer one. All of the EPs they start dropping here left and right. Parallel Universe, which is the remix album and the bonus jam album of like a fucking, I don't know, what is it, 60-minute jam or 35-minute jam? It's long. The remixture and then the mixture, which is, no, that's actually, I take it back. Yeah, that we're gonna get up probably through Forget Yourself. I think maybe. No, Besides Yourself too. We got to do that. So that's probably where we'll get to. I might. It depends on where I'm at in the second one. But all right, so we're gonna play some tracks. Let's see how this goes. I'm not real excited that this is gonna go well, but we'll try it and see how we make out. So wait a minute. And I gotta pull. Just give me one moment here. Let me see. Oh, come on, what the fuck, dude? Right, we'll try to do this and see how we make out. I'm almost reluctant to. I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go starting with Priest equals Aura, and we'll go backwards from there. And I think I'm going to start with. What are you doing here? Hang on a second. I'm going to decide on which track I want to do right now. And it's going to be hard because I just want to play every track. Like, it's just kind of one of those things where. All right, let's do. I'm going to do Luster because I don't think that one's going to get me nailed as quickly as some of the other ones might. So we'll try this. Okay, ready? This is the song Luster from Priest Equals Aura. I wish I could play some of the more immediate tracks like Ripple or, well, wait a minute. Problem with a lot of the songs on this album is they're super fucking long. So we'll be here all night if I do that. So I don't think I'm going to do that. So, all right, here we go. We're going to do Luster. Let's see how it goes. Let's hope it goes okay. I don't know for sure that it will. But, yeah, well, we'll find out. I just need to do one thing here. I take cancellation off. Here we go.
Just begun when the light came down, sweating rain on anyone who was hanging around. You said there's something strange going on, I can't see a thing. And pretty soon then we'll be drenched to the bone, and my soul is freezing. Now we really should decide who's taking who for this, rather than playing into the ditch. Smile for the money shot, place my soul, drop a stitch, strike while the irony's hot. And I don't have much time, there's so much left to take. It's hard to know what's genuine and what's a genuine fake. I think there's something weird going on, something unforeseen. The best impression of a succubus that I have ever seen. Before we get too far, let's get on with the ride the ghost train out into the dark. Ride it right round and through the suburbs, graveyards and parks, going around. If I never see you again, that will be way too soon. And if I ever get over this, I will be over the moon. I hope that something new comes along, something more my style. I hope that someone else comes along and makes it worth my while. And it's less than sloth and pride that makes me want to ride a roller coaster for all that it's worth. let it all to end. If you can't take it with you, away from this earth, might as well take it for tent. Ride the hills through Goldish Town, if that's the kind of company you keep. You're getting very tired, you need to lie down. See you in your sleep. See you in your sleep.
Right. That was Luster off of the Church Priest Equals Aura album. And now we're going to go with Grind off of Gold Afternoon Fix.
One in your hand is worth two at the bar, and everybody knows what you've been drinking. Disgraceful sky flecked with a nightmare of stars, and everybody knows how you've been sinking. Long distance century buzzes and fades. I wonder why you've not resigned. Previews, processions, and parades. You've got to grind it out. You've got to grind it out. Line up the arrows, push off the top. This can cause a sting forever. And once it's started up, it cannot be stopped. At least it's holding us together. Long distance century buzzes and fades. An automatic charge on your mind. The glittering minutes, jangled decades. We got to grind it out. We've got to Vortex appears, unleashed by the crash. A moment marked by hesitation. The dazzled surgeon chases the gash. And we don't need that operation. Long distance century buzzes and fades. Elysium feels not far behind. Find me a witness amongst these shades. They've got to grind it out. They've got to grind it out. Long distance century buzzes and fades. I hope the deaf can read the blind. Lift me up into those whirring blades. I've got to grind it out. You got to grind it out. We've got to grind it out. We got to grind it out.
All right, that was Grind off of Gold Afternoon Fix. That's the final song on the standard album. Excuse me. I'm back on StreamYard, and you have to do some adjusting here, and I don't run through an audio interface, even though I have one. I need to look into how to do that. So you may not get a perfect sound like you probably would if I could adjust levels and have an onboard EQ and all that stuff, a mixer. Alright, so we're going to try to do, okay, off of Starfish, we're going to do north, south, east, west, which is was kind of a sort of a hit, but not really. So I hope I don't get knocked off with this, but we'll find out.
estate's prime, the number plates rhyme. Liquidity, wear a gun and be proud, but their breasts aren't allowed. In this city, dream up a scam and rake in the clams. Liquidity, it's neither here nor there, it's neither here nor there. South and east and west, my payment, I catch my flight, and don't wait up for me tonight. You may find me there, and you might find me there. North, south, east and west, have a free throw or host your own show. In this city, to a wolf from a land for just $5,000. Liquidity, the face of today, just a scalpel away. Restore your lost soul for $2 plus toll. Liquidity. Clothes are the best for the pros. Liquidity, the guys with brains are all bitter and vain. Stupidity, the guys with luck at the bimbos and bugs. Liquidity, it's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. South and east and west. It ought to be somewhere. North, south, and east and west. I take my payment, I catch my flight. Don't wait up for me tonight. You might find me there, and you might find me there. North, south, and east and west. North, south.
Man, such a killer song. God damn. I love those little arpeggiated notes that you guys. I don't have a pick, so it's because I just picked that up just now. I like just listen to it. So it's straight out of the pentatonic, but it's so good, man. So fucking good. Anyway, all right. Moving on to Heyday. Is that where we're at? I think we're at Heyday, right? Yeah, we're at Heyday. We're gonna do the Transcending song, which is a bonus track. Man, there's so many killer tracks, but I just don't know. I don't know, man. This one just blows my mind. Why this didn't make the album, I have no idea. But here we go. Transcending from Heyday by the Church.
Wild things you bring drums and bells to me. Dance and sway, sway like the drunken trees. We dream of the day of the wedding feast. Eyes of a stallion, we roll the dice, one in a million. Drums and bells to me.
All right, that's Transcending, which actually was not on the on the actual album that was released. It was on the reissue 2002. Killer song, man. I mean, I don't know why they didn't end the album with that, but that whole album is, oh god, mega banger. All right, moving on to the compilation of the two EPs, Persia and Remote Luxury EP. Well, I call this an EP, but it's not really. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up here. I only got 3 more songs to go, so or 4 more songs. Yeah, 4 more songs. Yeah, so I'm gonna do Shadow Cabinet off this, which was on the. God damn, man, I'm blanking on what this is called. Constantinople? No. I forget the name of the 2 EPs. One's called Persia and the other one's called, I think, Constantinople. But anyway, gonna do that one next. Shadow Cabinet, really killer song.
pillar flood. Pillar from the old country, rising with third. That night she dreamed ceremony in mud. It's happening, I say. Must be thirsty. Drink, drink, sing, forget. Must be empty. Inside the shadow machine. Offered her chaos to me. Proffered herself languidly. The actress bitch must have muddled her spells. Tinges of Persia, I hope that it sells. Chemical nuptials and ring the bells. It's heavenly, I say. Must be thirsty. Drink, drink, sing, forget. Must be empty. Inside the shadow cabinet.
So, Remote Luxury is the other name of the song I couldn't, or the name of the other EP. Persia and Remote Luxury were the two EPs. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. And Remote Luxury is a freaking instrumental, which is odd because they didn't do many instrumentals early on, but that was the one, the big one. So strange they named their EP after that. All right, 3 more tracks here. I'm going to do It's No Reason off Seance. This is a gorgeous track. You'll notice the difference in the tone and sounds of this album versus the ones we played to this point so far. Then I got to figure out my last 2 tracks then. So here we go.
Crocodile skin water, city shadows wait. Put your head into your hands, the ending is so great. Take a Take all the things I've bought you, leave all the rest alone. Marble skins turn human, people fade to grey. Put your head into my hands, we'll make them go away. As you're crying softly, you will never be disturbed. Red on pink, the sun will sing. Have you even heard? I'm cursed, take me down. There's no reason to be sad. As you leave without a sound, there's no reason to be glad. Salty tears are wasted, children lie awake. Put your head into your hands, let your spirit break. Black smoke from the chimneys, white smoke from the hills. Everything is moving, but we're standing still. I'm cursed, take me down. There's no reason to be sad. And you leave without a sound. There's no reason to be glad. Celebrations fading, boats upon the waves. Put your head into my hands, trying to be brave. The carnival has packed up, the storm has left us peace. Pockets sleep undamaged, we drive into the east. And the colors take me down. There's no reason to be sad. And you leave without a sound. There's no reason to be glad.
All right, 2 more tracks or 3 more tracks because I forgot about the Sing Songs EP. Even though that one came off of Sing Songs and that the Shadow Cabinet was off of Remote Luxury Comp, it was also on the Sing Songs EP because they joined them together. So now I'm going to play something from the first 5 songs that Capitol requested when they didn't like the Blurred Crusade. They wanted more songs. I'm going to play The Night is Very Soft. Give me one sec here to get it queued up.
Drops of water glistened on her black fur. Tail lights and bishop headlights shine through her. Legs crossed on the red serge settee. I sat next to nothing and she looked right through me and on. Inside the car sat a sulky blonde, and on her lap the road went on and on. As she dresses, I look to the ground. Perhaps I know where the place can be found and on. Outside, the night is very soft, but where does it end? We plow into the Buick, but you've got to have money for that. 92 people taking it too fast. They never notice where their lines are cast. And our legs crossed on the red serge settee. Sat next to nothing as she looked right past me and I've got a milk white electric guitar. Walked in the shop and I peeled up the notes. Oh yeah, as she dresses I look to the ground. Perhaps I know where the place can be found and on. Outside, the night is very soft, but where does it end? We pile into the Buick, but you've got to have money for that. Outside, the night is very soft, but where does it end? We pile into the Buick, but you've got to have money for that. Huh. 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 Huh.
Some fake wind there at the end, it sounded like. Kind of cool. That's a little sketch there. The rest of it's kind of a cool track. That EP is kind of weird because you could tell they were trying to find hits, and they couldn't really write hits, not easily, anyways. At least until Milky Way, and I think a ton of the shit on Heyday could have been massive hits if radio would have worried if they'd have had a good record label, but their record label dumped them, so they're kind of for Bird Crusade didn't get picked back up until Starfish. So, all right, we're down to the last two. This is from Blurred Crusade. This is called an interlude. Here we go.
They're going to send you away, she said. Psychic angel spread on the top of her head. And in the compartments of my dread, the rush hour crush travels home to bed. To hear, she smiled. Statues tiptoe for the glimpse of a child. The lawns are always lush and wild. Spacious floors bejeweled and tiled. Just the water in the bath, an interlude for the busy staff.
right, last track. Remember, we went in reverse. I forgot to hit the thing. We went in reverse order. So we reviewed from the beginning to Priest equals Aura. And we went backwards track-wise. And I tried not to play too obvious tracks. You know, the big ones, if you want to go there with them. They've had like maybe 4 big hits in 50 years, 45 years, whatever it is. But this is a song called Memories in Future Tense off of Skins and Hearts. And this will be the last song I play, and then I'm going to dip out. Part 2, I think I'm going to do after I read the book, which I should be getting on Thursday. Probably knock it out in 3 or 4 days, I would think. So we're probably looking at doing part 2 of this. Oh, let me check here. Hang on, give me one moment. Hang on. Pull up my... Guys, it's December 1st already. Holy shit. All right. So that's coming on that day. I would think sometime towards the end of the week starting the 7th. So I would think probably like... I think I'm going to schedule it for the 11th. Oh, wait a minute. Shit. Hold on. Yeah. I think I'm going to do it the 11th, I think. Or the 10th. Let's do the 11th. That way I know that's what I'm planning on doing. And we'll do the next batch of albums for part 2. And we'll wrap this thing up. I'm already reviewed all the way up, so I can just do sit and listen sessions, which I like more than when I'm making notes. It gets, you know, it gets pretty cumbersome. So here we go. Music in future tense.
Today seemed a long way away and ahead of me. A new face and street, people who meet you instead of me. They bring you, they take you, they own you, they make you. Last year today, you turn and you say, here's a dream for me. You close your eyes and the moon starts to rise and you scream for me. Do you remember me? I call you, I'm with you. What did they ever give you? Memories in future tense. Memories don't make much sense. Memories in future tense. Memories don't make much sense. Last year today, a radio plays such a simple song. Simple song. The music's surreal, and you almost could feel that there's nothing wrong, 'cause it's a simple song. They bought you, they sold you, and all the things they told you. Memories in future tense. Memories don't make much sense. Memories in future tense. Memories don't make much sense. Memories in future tense. Memories don't make much sense. Memories in future tense. Memories don't make much sense. Memories in future tense. Memories don't make much sense. Memories in future tense. Memories don't make much sense.
All right. Well, I'll do that. I'll kick that in the ass. We'll see if this stays up. We'll see if I get a strike. We'll see if I get yelled at. Hopefully, I can just share the revenue, or just not monetize. I guess I could do that too. I'm kind of reluctant to do anything that I play music on now. I probably should not share the or try to monetize it. So, not that I do this for money, anyways, because there's not that much money in it. But maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just demonetize it so that, yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll just demonetize these, and the thing is, the reality is not, tons of people aren't going to watch this anyways. I think everybody. It's weird, man. It's weird. It's a struggle, like. I hit 1,000 subscribers. God, feels like it was 2 years ago. I don't think it was that long ago, but it was at least a year and a half. And here I am, struggling to get 600 more or 700 more subscribers in that time. It just feels like it's taking fucking forever. And yet, if I get on and start talking about Kyle Rasmussen from Vitriol, or Nikki Sixx, or Vince Neil's brain tumor, and doing, fucking clickbaity bullshit like some of these music nerd dudes do. I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years now. I just got the message about a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And there's been a lot of tons of rewards out of it. But one of the negative things is that you just feel like you're just running in quicksand a lot of the time. And it kind of gets kind of soul sucking at times, especially if you see somebody that started way long after you just fucking race past you, and you're like, what the hell? It's like I do these killer interviews, and a lot of the artists don't even share them, which is weird. So maybe I should take something from that. I don't know. They always say, oh no, it was great, it was awesome, but I never see it on their social media platforms. I work with all these publicist people, and I get the interviews, I get re-interviews a lot of the time, but yet for some reason they don't ever post my shit on their websites or their social media platforms. So you'd think if they did, I'd get a lot more traffic, but that's not what's happening. So that's not what's happening. So anyway, well, that turned into a longer deal than I thought it was going to be because I added all the extra music. So I don't know whether we'll do it the same way or not. I guess we will, which means I'll end up having like a 10-hour church deep dive, but in 3 spots. So maybe that's the best way to do it. But
even 3.5 hours. Nobody has the attention span. It's unbelievable how people's attention spans are fucking garbage. Just sad, man. Sad. So anyway, good to see you, Mario. Thank you. Crazy White Boy. Thanks, buddy. I don't know your name. Maybe I do know your name. You're not. It's not Doug, is it? Doug, that's not you, is it? Can't see from the. I don't think it is. And anybody else that was here? Rick was here for quite a while. Appreciate him. Lurky Wolf. Thanks, dude. Or Chica or whatever. Metal Mama, you were here for a while. Appreciate it. And, whether this gets a lot of traction, my guess is it probably won't, which is kind of sad, but whatever. So, hey, like and subscribe if you're not a member, and every little bit helps. Appreciate you guys. Go check out the church, goddammit. Part 2 coming up, probably not next week, but the week after, because I'd like to read this book. I won't get that until Thursday. I probably might be able to beat it up over the weekend, though. So who knows? Maybe I'll do it on Sunday. Although, wait a minute. No, I'm going to see Death Angel on Sunday, so no, it won't be Sunday. And I'm doing an interview with some of the guys. I got to find out who, though. I know Ted's one of them. I'm hoping Rob and Mark, Rob Cavastani, Mark Oscade. I'm hoping I can get all of them in, but I don't know that I will be able to. We'll have to see. Yeah, so maybe it'll be Sunday. Maybe it'll be Monday. Tuesday, I'm going to Baltimore. Probably not. Wednesday, probably not. Thursday, Friday, probably. So we'll see how it works out. Just keep your eyes on the channel, and I'll make an announcement. Appreciate all you cats. Later.